Wiki Wild, Wiki Wild, Wiki Wild Wild Disenfranchised podcast. That podcast all about those franchises of one, those films that fancy themselves full-fledged franchises before falling flat on their face after the first film. I'm your host, Stephen Foxworthy, and joining me, as always, the man who may or may not be Artemis Gordon in disguise, it's Tucker. Hey, Tucker.
Hi, Stephen. How's it going?
Not bad. How are you?
Okay.
Right on.
On the positive side of okay, though.
Okay.
Not like,
well, that's better than the negative side of okay.
Like, I'm not like, oh, I'm okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. Fucking okay. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now, I do have to say that, unfortunately, our co-host Brett has been missing for several days. He was working on a top secret scientific project and then disappeared. We don't quite know where he is, and we hope he comes back soon, because the day we're recording this, Tucker, the day that we are recording this is our good friend Brett's birthday. So if you're on our Patreon, leave him a happy belated birthday in the comments. If you know where he's on socials, he's not really, but if you know, go ahead and wish him a happy belated birthday over there.
Look,
I'm sure
if you know where he lives, go to his house, knock on the door, say happy birthday, Brett, and then turn around and walk away.
Give him a big fucking hug, and then tell him it's from Steven and Tucker. He'll know what it means.
Yeah, dude. He's wise to it.
But yeah, he knows.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, so we're kicking off a new theme month this month. It's been a couple months since we did our last one. This one's one that Tucker has been waiting for. Honestly, Brett's been waiting for this one too, and that's kind of why it's a bummer that he's gone missing for this episode, because this movie in particular is one that he has wanted to talk about since the early days of this podcast. So it's a big old fucking bummer that he's not able to be here today. But some people party a little too hard for their birthdays, and
what happens.
That's what
we're
happens.
Not saying Brett did. We're just saying some
people do. Yeah, some people
just
do.
Randomly mentioning that.
Right, just throwing that out there. Things happen.
Interesting little factoid, Stephen.
Right. Yeah. But we are starting another actor-centric theme month, our second for the year after Arnie April 2, Austrian Boogaloo. And this time we are centering around, it's July. In fact, today's episode is dropping on the 4th of July. Happy birthday to the Caesar salad today.
Yeah, dude.
100 years old today. This is the centennial of the Caesar salad. Fucking A. Love that for us. But so we're celebrating this month, Mr. 4th of July, the guy who would always open a movie this weekend every year. The Fresh Prince himself, Big Willie Style himself, Mr. Will Smith.
Yeah, dude.
And one thing, we're going to talk a lot about Will Smith this month, but one thing we are going to do, we're going to keep his wife's name out of our fucking mouths.
Well, I don't really have anything nice to say, so yeah, I'll just keep it out of my mouth.
I don't want to get slapped.
No.
This is what it comes down to.
I suppose so. Now that you've gotten that out of the way.
Right. Look, it was going to come out at some point.
I was going to see if we could just not mention it, but that's cool.
Nope. We kind of have to.
Did you know, though, Stephen, that I edit this podcast? I could make it so this entire month there's no mention of it. I could very easily do that. But
you could.
Am I going to do that?
No.
Probably. No, I'm not. I'm not. I will.
Look,
not.
I know you too well, and I know that if something if it fits the flow, you'll leave it in regardless. So
that's true. Even though it may be embarrassing for someone, usually me, I leave it in.
I don't know. I feel like it's me a lot.
No, dude.
Though you've gotten a lot better about letting me know when you're going to put something embarrassing in.
Yes, I have I'm working on some of my antiquated opinions,
I appreciate that.
Sometimes I work through that on the podcast. And I think, you know what? I think it's inspiring, honestly.
Yeah.
To other people who are like, I just want to be better, but like, it's so hard. No, it's not. Just talk to people about stuff, figure out other people's perspectives. And then you can understand why an opinion you have or something that you say is not great.
Yeah. Basically what we're saying is get good.
Yeah. Be better.
And again, that finger's pointing right back at us too, because we need to get good also.
I'm just a little more vocal about that kind of stuff. I dig myself in holes.
I mean, see the most recent. Well, it probably won't drop for like another month,
Who
but
knows?
the
Who knows
most
when it'll
recent
come out?
episode of What Are We Watching that we just recorded earlier tonight.
Yeah, hey, I climbed out of that pretty gracefully, though. I
Yeah,
feel like.
more gracefully than I thought you were when you started, honestly.
Well, see, and I think that's my problem is because I have to sort of like I can't resolve the thing without the
Hmm.
thing being there. You know what
Right.
I mean? So if
Makes
I'm gonna
sense.
work this stuff out on mic, it has to start in an iffy place.
And look,
You
we've
know?
all said things on this podcast that we probably shouldn't have said, and probably going to come back to bite us in the ass later. And we look, we got to own it.
Yeah. And if it upsets you, we're sorry. That's not. I'm like I said. I'm just trying to be better, dude. Let
Not
me
our
know.
intention.
Let me
We're
know
learning.
because
We're in the
yeah.
process of being better.
Put it in the comments if I say some shit that's fucked up and I don't realize it, or if I have an opinion that's fucked up and I don't realize it. Please let me know. Because like I said, I'm always trying to learn and be better. And like,
And we're never going to be better if you don't tell us.
yeah, I'm just trying to be the best dude. So help me be the best dude.
So for this first week of what we're calling getting jiggy in July, we are talking about what I would call maybe the first big misstep of Will Smith's career, and really the first movie he was in that kind of didn't that probably wanted to have a sequel but didn't get one. Kind of given what it was and who directed it and who starred in it, this feels like something that was they were shooting for sequels for and it didn't get it. Tucker, what is that movie?
We were talking about my favorite Christmas movie of all time, The Wild Wild West. And it's not my favorite Christmas movie because it's a movie about Christmas. It's my favorite Christmas movie. It's because it's a movie that I normally watch around Christmas.
And we're gonna unpack that. Don't even get it twisted. We're gonna unpack that here
Okay.
very shortly.
Okay.
Um, but we're talking about 1999's Wild Wild West, directed by Barry Sonnenfeld and starring
Yeah.
Will Smith, Kevin Kline, Kenneth
Yes.
Branagh, Salma
Yes.
Hayek, Ted Levine, M. Emmett Walsh, Bai Ling,
Yes.
Rodney A. Grant, Garcelle Beauvais, Musetta Vander, Sophia Eng, Frederic Vanderwall, Ian Abercrombie's got
Yes,
a
dude.
recurring cameo in this movie. Doesn't say a fucking
Mhm.
word, but he's in there.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yes.
future Jason, Derek Mears is in this movie. Deborah Christofferson in this movie. Dare I say it, Tucker? What a cast!
Ooh,
What a picture!
what a cast. What a cast. And for my money, what a picture.
Yeah. Um, so this month is all about Will Smith. We're going to be talking about the man himself. Um, let's just do a little bit of preamble here. Born September 25th, 1968, Willard Carroll Smith II gains his a lot of his notoriety through his rap career. Um, Parents Just Don't Understand, Nightmare on My Street, Summertime, um,
Boom,
classics,
shake the room.
all Boom, Shake the
Girls ain't nothing
Room.
but trouble. Brand new funk. As we go. Ring my bell. Etc. Etc.
The list goes on and on. Parlaying that into an incredibly successful television show called The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which ran for 6 seasons. And then finally breaking into movies. His very first theatrically released film, Tucker, was
That one with Stockard Channing where he plays the gay con man, and it's so good.
there's one before that one.
Oh, what is it?
The Whoopi Goldberg Ted Danson film Made in America.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He is in that. I
Also
forgot.
came out in 1993. Same with the film you're
Yeah.
talking about, 6 Degrees of Separation,
6 Degrees of Separation. Yes,
with
that's a
Stockard
fantastic
Channing
movie.
and Donald Sutherland. I've read that play, but I have not seen the film.
There is nothing like that movie, and Will Smith is great in that movie because he hasn't quite figured out movie acting yet,
Right.
but it gives a sincerity to his performance. It works for him
Mhm.
in that film because of the character that he plays. And
Right.
I recommend it to anybody who likes movies,
I
honestly.
want to see it. Will Smith actually did come out later and say he was kind of a coward in that movie because he didn't go for the on-screen kiss with his co-star, whose
Yeah.
name escapes me. He's a director. he was
Ty
in,
West. No, just
no, he did Short Bus.
kidding.
And he was the lead in Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Oh yeah. I can't think of his fucking name though.
It's John something. John. Fuck. This is gonna bug me. I'm looking it up right now because this. I keep wanting to say John Michael Higgins. He's got 3 names, but John Michael Higgins is not. That's the guy from like A Mighty Wind and Best in Show. This is. Shit. What's his name? Why is it not on the main page? Damn it. Ian McKellen, also in 6 Degrees of Separation, though.
Yeah, dude, he sure
Anthony
is.
Michael Hall, Heather Graham, Anthony Rapp. J.J. Abrams is in that movie? That's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Was he not in this movie? I could have sworn he was in this movie. Maybe he's not in. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong guy.
Maybe you're thinking of the wrong guy.
Straight up, maybe. Maybe it's Anthony Rapp. Maybe I'm losing my mind. But I could have sworn it was the dude who directed Short Bus. I could have sworn.
Maybe not. But it's real good, and you should see it.
It is on my list. I will probably get to it at some point. It was a community theater production. John Cameron Mitchell is who I'm thinking
There you
of.
go.
But it doesn't look like he was in that movie. Maybe he was not. He's one of those like great actor director guys. Like did a lot of hosted a lot of stuff on the Independent Film Channel, IFC, back in the day. But no, like really great director, actor. Is in like Shrill, is in Yellow Jackets, Vinyl. He just like shows up and shit. But was he in 6 Degrees of Separation? He was not in 6 Degrees of Separation. Dude. I am mistaken. Dude. My fault.
Watch it anyway.
I'm really glad that we took that like 10-minute diversion for me just to be proven wrong. That was great.
Well, that's okay. We got to talk about 6 Degrees of Separation.
Yeah.
And it's really good. And nobody fucking remembers that movie. So go watch it, everybody.
But his big break, Tucker. His first big break. Do you remember what it was?
Was it Bad Boys?
It's Bad Boys. I was going to say, it's a movie you watched last week. It is Bad Boys in 1995. And
I'll probably watch next week, too.
Probably.
Love that fucking movie.
You do. You do love them Bad Boys. What you going to do? What you going to do when they come for you, Tucker?
Not watch Cops. That's for sure.
That's for sure. And then after that, like he has within just a few years, kind of a weird miracle run where he does Independence Day in 96, Men in Black in 97, which is a fucking masterpiece. He does one other movie between Men in Black and Wild Wild West. You know what it is, Tucker?
What is it?
It's got your boy Jason Lee in it, saying a very classic Jason Lee line.
Oh, Enemy of the State.
Enemy of the State. Fuck a duck.
I love that movie. Fuck
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to say the great Gene Hackman in that movie also.
Yes. And Lisa Bonet also in that movie.
Oh, do I love Lisa Bonet.
You got to love Lisa Bonet.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. But yeah, that is his like his film run up until this movie. He's only done a handful of movies up before Wild Wild West. That's how meteoric his rise was. But he was, for a few years, he was ubiquitous because he was on television, he was in record stores, and he was on films. So like he was doing everything. And so it's not surprising that his star rose so quickly, because the movies he was in, particularly starting with Bad Boys and then into Independence Day and Men in Black, were huge. Like he's in like those 3 movies back to back is kind of incredible.
Yeah.
An actor these days would kill for a 3-peat like that, honestly.
Well, and as much as I love this movie, I'm kind of glad that this one failed, because I think it forced him to kind of get out of his comfort zone, and we got some of the best performances out of him with shit like Ali.
We're going to talk about like the interim next week for sure, kind of his rebound off of this movie. But yeah, like, and it, because this isn't the only career this movie didn't just stall his career. It stalled another career as well, which we'll get into. But before we got too deep into Wild Wild West, I wanted to at least touch on Will Smith. But before we get too deep on the other specifics of this movie, I want to talk about our personal histories with Wild Wild West. Where do you start with Wild Wild West, Tucker? How does it enter your life? Why do you watch it every Christmas?
Well, Steven, um, since I was a very young man, I've really, really liked Will Smith. I started liking him in the late 80s when my metalhead cousin played me a copy of He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, I liked that. I liked that a lot. And so I think I I basically owned that record because I rented it from the library so much. That and the follow-up and In This Corner.
Mm.
I was very much into. And I really liked Fresh Prince because he told funny stories. And I liked that. I like all his funny stories. He's got some funny stories, and some of them are true. I found out actually. I was watching an interview with him and Martin Lawrence for Bad Boys, the new Bad Boys, Ride or Die,
Ride or die.
and he's talking about his first car, which he said was a candy apple red IROC, and then I'm like, wait, that's in that song about him getting his car stolen. He says a candy apple red IROC, windows deep tinted. And I'm like, okay, well, that's weird. I guess that was his first car, right? That's cool. And then he talks about how it got stolen. And I'm like, wait, it gets stolen in that song. And then he's like, and like, it was just really disappointing because at the end of it, his car was totaled. The thief totaled his car. And that's what happens, Steven, at the end of the song, Who Stole My Car by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
There it
It's
is.
reality, dude.
Hmm.
Reality raps. But no, he tells funny stories, and I like. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying you borrow from your own life, and that's how art imitates life. Is that what they say?
Yeah, I think that's why I wasn't so much into him after he kind of got away from the Fresh Prince moniker and started just doing like regular music instead of
Which is
funny
right
stories.
around this time.
I want more funny stories because you know what, Will Smith, just spin me a yarn, dude. Like give me I want Fresh Prince fables. I don't need no Aesop. Give me Fresh Prince fables. Tell me all the silly little stories you got, dude, because I'm glued to him, every single one. The way this man spins a silly story is just it's a fantastic thing. The only thing that he does almost as well as that is acting. And that probably comes from the rapping, where instead of, doing like the kind of raps that most people do, where it's a stream of consciousness or they're talking about a specific subject, like he's a storyteller. And I think storytellers are usually pretty good actors, I think.
Generally speaking,
Good
yeah.
storytellers are usually pretty good actors, is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, that's what performance is. You're telling a story through
Yeah.
performance. So yeah, that tracks.
So I always followed his career. I when That's why I saw 6 Degrees of Separation kind of a little bit after it came out. I rented it from Blockbuster because I was like, oh, that's my boy. Um, I saw Bad Boys. I saw Independence Day. I saw straight up Enemy of the State. Some of these a few years later because I was young, a little too young for a few of them. Uh, but when Wild Wild West came out, I wanted to see it at the movie theater, but I never got around to it because, I was a teenager and I was chasing girls and stuff. So I didn't have a lot of time for my hobbies back then because I was a busy guy back then with other things, not school. But so I saw this on video as soon as it came out though. And I just bought it blind. I was like, I know I'm gonna like this. So as soon as it came out, I'm just like, I'm gonna buy this, watch it at my leisure. And so I did, and I still have that VHS tape. And I watch it every Christmas because my parents used to live in Florida, and my sister and I would visit them on Christmas. and the room I stayed in was like their sewing / computer room, and there was like a day
Mhm.
bed in there. But there was also an old like little 13-inch TV that had a VCR on it, and so all the VHS tapes were in that room, and I always watched Wild Wild West
Do
every
you
Christmas.
still watch Wild Wild West every
I I
Christmas?
I do. I do watch it at Christmas time. Yes, every year, at least once. Because I just love it. I've always loved it. I think that the older I get, the more I appreciate different things about it. Like my review today is not even going to be close to what my review would have been when I saw it for the first time. I've had a lot of time to digest this film. I've had a lot of rewatches, and every time I watch it, I see something where I'm like, "That's I had never thought of it that way before." And I could see why people don't like this movie because it's not a good movie sometimes, but it's well made, it's well acted, and I think that it's the kind of comedy that wasn't popular then. It was kind of out of style, the kind of comedy that they were doing. Plus the way that they blended the the western and science fiction and steampunk and all that stuff together was not something that was easy for most audiences to digest. Um,
Now, were you familiar with the show at all? Like the show that this movie was based on?
I don't remember it at all, but I know I had seen it because my dad used to watch it.
Okay. Like I
Um,
know this was and this is kind of one another reason I'm bummed that Brett's not here is because I know Brett and his dad used to watch this show a lot, which is one reason Brett was excited to be here, but he
I can
couldn't.
kind of say something on that because my dad watched a lot of westerns and still does. He still watches the whatever the western channel is that you can get with your local channels.
Yes,
Watches that all day, watching shit like Bonanza and The Rifleman,
the
shit like that.
Rifleman,
Yeah, fucking
Chuck
Chuck Connors.
Connors.
Chuck
Yeah.
Connors. Yeah, dude, Chuck Connors is the shit. So in the opening when he's just like "Bap, bap, 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 bap,
Mhm.
bap, bap," the rifleman. Yeah,
The
dude.
Rifleman. Yeah, it's exactly that. Yeah. Chuck Connors in The Rifleman.
It rivals The Fugitive.
If you're in trouble, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A Team.
Yeah, dude. What I will say about the way that those TV westerns were structured, that's the way this movie is structured. This movie is structured like like 3 episodes of a TV western.
Right.
And I love that about this movie. I love everything they're doing because they're succeeding whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
They are succeeding with everything they're trying to do in this movie. For my money.
This is you talk a lot about how it's out of date, and I think there's something to that because the 90s were the early 90s in particular were a big time. We could do an entire theme month of movies based on 60s television shows because there was a ton of that like boomer nostalgia shit in the 90s because all these boomers were like hitting
Nostalgic.
30, 40 years old and
Yeah.
wanted to watch all the shit that they grew up with, and so Hollywood was making movies, and this is one of the last ones,
Yeah.
like one of the last ones from that era, and so as a result, it's kind of passe in a lot of ways because
Mhm.
it's all been done. Like Maverick was 5 years before.
Oh, yeah. Maverick's fucking great too.
See our past episode on Maverick.
That I'm unfortunately not on because I have so much to say about that movie. I love that movie so much.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it. But like, yeah, like I mean, future episode of this podcast, the Beverly Hillbillies, future episode of this podcast, the Mod Squad. Like it was a big thing in the 90s to just make shows out of, and it really, the Brady Bunch movie and its sequel, a very Brady sequel, were kind of the ones that got that ball rolling.
They kicked
And
it off.
this is one of the last ones of that kind of era.
Well, and our boy Barry Sonnenfeld, who directed this, was responsible for kind of keeping that alive with the Addams Family movies too. He contributed to keeping that breathing, like as it went through the
Exactly.
'90s,
Yeah.
which is why I think it's appropriate that he directed this film.
It
Honestly,
is. And some on some of like it's kind of combining what he did with Men in Black with what he did with the Addams Family, which to that point, those had been his two biggest hits.
mm-hmm.
I'm going to get into Barry Sonnenfeld as soon as I talk about my own history with this
Oh, I
movie
can't wait.
cuz I watched some Fresh Prince for sure, but I was not like a and I Will Smith was ubiquitous, like he was everywhere. So I knew who he was, but I was not a kid who was raised on rap. I was raised on oldies and CCM, to the amazement of no one.
What?
Um, right? Stephen was raised on contemporary Christian music and oldies. Um, Tucker, me too. I also wish we had all been ready. Two men standing on a hill, one disappears and one's left standing still. God, I wish we'd all been ready.
I wish.
But Independence Day, I will say, was the first PG-13 movie that I ever saw. I saw it on my birthday. My birthday is in July. I saw it on my birthday in theaters, and did not sleep that night because the scene with the alien in Area 51 scared the bejesus out of me.
Where he takes over Data.
Yes.
Yeah, that is
Yes.
scary.
That
It's really
terrified me.
scary.
It was the closest thing I'd ever seen to a horror film up to that point in my
Ooh,
life.
boy,
And it
yeah.
freaked me the fuck out.
It's
Like at one point after I saw that movie, there was like a big like red, like the sky was very, very red that like one night, and I thought it was the alien ships like coming to like blow up Indianapolis.
yeah.
I was a kid with an overactive imagination. And so that was the first Will Smith film I saw. I saw Men in Black in theaters as well. Fucking loved Men in
Right.
Black. So, of course, when this movie comes out, I'm going to see it in theaters. And you better believe your boy was there. Not
Nice.
opening weekend, but your boy was there. Your boy saw it on the big screen.
No.
And remember thinking it was fun, but not as good as Independence Day or Men in Black. Because, and I hate to be the one to tell you this, it's not as good as those other movies. It's just not. It is what it is, but it's not those.
I will agree with you, but also I can't believe you didn't sniff this out. But this is a Tucker movie. This is definitely a Tucker movie.
It is.
The pure silliness of this motherfucker,
Mm-hmm.
right up my alley. Kenneth Branagh, shit, dude is fuck. He's acting to me.
We're
To
gonna
me.
talk. We're gonna look. I've got. Did I do deep dives on all these people's careers running up to this movie? Yes, yes, I fucking did. Do I know what all of these people, how all of these people feel about this movie? Yes, I fucking do.
And it makes me sad.
Give your boy some respect and some credit, because your boy did his homework this week.
I will say, despite what the people involved with this film have to say about it, I think when they shot it, every actor in this film knew exactly what movie they were making. They understood the assignment, and everybody knocked it right out of the fucking park. I swear to
Based on what I'm reading, the only person who really seemed to like being there was Ted Levine.
God.
Ted Levine, who is 100% knows exactly what movie he's in,
Yeah,
but like he blames the scripts, which yes, because they were writing pages like right up to the day.
I believe that. I believe that. Yeah.
Like in which is why the script does not make any really coherent narrative sense. It's kind of all
No,
over the place. There are
it's
threads that are like picked up and dropped, and then 20 minutes later picked up again and then dropped again. Like it doesn't make any fucking sense. And then he also thinks Will Smith was horribly miscast as the lead.
I could see other people in the role, but I don't think he did a bad job. He's got the charisma for it. He's got the riz, as the kids say.
And here's the thing, that is the one thing I think that Will Smith has in spades. He is and I think that's the reason why he's such an effective leading man. And this is something we're going to talk about, I'm sure, a lot this month, but the man is charismatic as fuck.
And confident as all hell, dude.
Which is why I don't think he works in every role. Like something like this, I think he works very well in, but something like I Am Legend, where he's playing someone who's like in constant battle with himself and like, you know, constantly like battling loneliness. He's too confident for that. I don't believe him doing that as much as I do in something like this.
You know, but to counter that, I will say I believe the hell out of him in Hancock, but that's kind of a mixed role because, like, he hates himself, but he's still confident because he's indestructible.
Right. Spoiler alert, we'll get to Hancock.
Very interesting role, and I think Will Smith knocked that out of the park. I think
We're
that's
gonna
one of his best performances.
we're gonna answer the age-old question that asked by the Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood podcast: is Hancock a good movie? We're gonna answer that this month.
Okay, I can't wait because it's a complicated answer.
It is.
Really complicated.
We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about Hancock this month. Spoilers. We're gonna talk about Hancock.
I haven't watched it in a long time. I'm excited to watch. Probably
I haven't watched it since I saw it in theaters.
Word. I saw it in theaters too.
I saw that movie on a date.
Oh.
I took a female to see that movie, and you know what? It was the last date I ever went on with that lady.
It's the last date I ever went on.
Period. I still haven't been on a date since 2008. I haven't been on a date. It's been a rough 20 years.
So,
but no. So I saw this movie in theaters, and I've watched it a few times since. I have seen it a few times since it came out. It's for one reason or another. It's one that I have come back to, and I cannot for the life of me tell you why I keep coming back to it, but I do.
It's fun and it's breezy. It's flies right by, man.
It's something, all right. I mean, it's not a movie. Spoilers. It's not a movie I particularly like, but yeah, it's a movie I've seen.
But you don't not like it.
I mean, I kind of don't like it.
You're on the negative side of okay? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, I am absolutely on the negative side of okay on this one.
That's
for
okay.
Sure. But no, so this movie is directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, who up to this point in the 90s has had a kind of a fucking miracle run. Like, honestly, like this movie is a really odd thing because it is Will Smith and Barry Sonnenfeld meeting at the height of their powers. And at some point, both of them are going to have kind of a meteoric fall. For Sonnenfeld, it's like right after this. For Will Smith, it is significantly later. But it's fucking wild, is what it is. It's doing it again.
What, your screen?
Yeah, it's just the window though. Oh, it stopped. Okay, good. Oh fuck! It started again. Shit. All right, I'm closing this window.
I will mention to those who don't know that Barry Sonnenfeld started out as a cinematographer.
Yes, which is why, even though this movie is not great, it still looks pretty good.
Fantastic. Oh, it looks so good, and he knows how to film with CGI too. And man, it's a good looking movie. It's a real good looking movie because the color palette in this movie is not one that my brain likes. It's not. Normally nope. My brain would not let me like a movie like this, but it's just so fucking beautiful. It looks so good. Every shot is perfect in this movie.
It do look good though.
It's a real good looking movie, yeah.
I mean, for all its flaws, and it has several, the look of it is not one of them. Like it looks it's a very dynamic looking film. That I have to give it credit for that, if nothing else.
Yeah, the man knows how to shoot a fucking movie, man.
He was specifically the DP for some of our favorite filmmakers, the Coen brothers.
Yeah, dude.
He was DP on three of their films, Blood Simple
and Raising Arizona, right?
Correct. Those are the three. And then he has a cameo in Barton Fink.
Oh yeah, he does.
He's the phone operator. And he did several other movies as well. Like he was DP for some other fairly well-known films, which I'm going to look up right now because my computer has now decided that it doesn't want to reopen my browser that I closed.
Oh, wait, does that mean you can't see me anymore, Steven?
Well, I can see you.
Okay, good.
I have you open in a completely different browser than I have my notes open in. My notes are gone.
I didn't comb this mustache for nothing, Steven.
Oh, and I appreciate the amount of effort you put into that grooming.
Trimmed it up today.
So he also does, in addition to those three films, He is DP on Throw Mama from the Train, Danny DeVito's first film, Big, Penny Marshall's film Big, and also the Rob Reiner classic When Harry Met Sally. He also is DP. The last film he ever DPs is the Rob Reiner film Misery.
Yeah.
Like
straight up Kathy Bates.
Yes, wins her Oscar. Yes. Like it fucking like he's a great cinematographer. And then like a lot of cinematographers before him, like Jan de Bont and many others, he gets to try his hand at directing, and he does such a good job that they let him just keep being a director. And he for the 90s at least, he has kind of an unimpeachable record. He starts his directing career in 1991 with a fucking classic, The Addams Family, which we love.
We do.
He follows that up in 93 with two movies. The first being the Michael J. Fox film For Love or Money, which I've not seen.
Me neither.
But the 1993 film I've absolutely seen so many times. In fact, Brett and I recorded a commentary track on it years ago on the Patreon, Addams Family Values, which mostly consists of us just like quoting the movie back at the movie. We're having such a fucking good time. In 95, he does Get Shorty. Do what?
I said, eat me.
Eat me. Dun, 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 dun. Eat me. Bum, ba, na, na. It's so good. It's so good.
It is. Really
I paid money during the pandemic to watch Griffin Newman from the Blank Check podcast and the four hosts of the We Hate Movies podcast watch that on like an official Paramount feed. That's a thing I did during the pandemic, and you know what? Fucking worth it.
Yeah, dude. I believe
it was a blast. It was a lot of fun.
I
also paid to watch him and John Gabris watch Griffin and John Gabris watch Hunt for Red October.
You love that movie.
I do love that movie. Both of those movies are fucking phenomenal. In 95, he directs Get Shorty, and in 97, he does Men in Black. That is an insanely good run. For Love or Money is the only real outlier, the only one of those that is not a stone cold classic. Wow. But his run up to this point is fucking perfection. And I would say it is the negative reception of this movie and the production hell of his next movie, which is Big Trouble, which comes out in 2002, was supposed to come out in 2001, but a little thing called September 11th happened, and it's a movie about Tim Allen fighting terrorists, written by Dave Barry, of all people. It's a weird movie. It's a weird... Have you not seen Big Trouble?
No, but I like Dave Barry, or at least Harry Anderson's portrayal of him in Dave's World with Shadoe Stevens and Meshach Taylor.
I love Meshach Taylor. Meshach Taylor is the great. Let me run down the cast of Big Trouble for you, because it's a fucking wild movie.
Now I want to see it.
Written by Dave, Dave Barry wrote the book it was based on. Yes. It stars Tim Allen.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Rene Russo.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Stanley Tucci.
Oh, I fucking love that.
We love the Tooch.
Yeah,
we do love the Tooch.
Yeah,
Tom Sizemore.
All right, yeah, I'm still with you. Still with you.
Johnny Knoxville.
Yep, still there.
Dennis motherfucking Farina.
Yep.
You know I love Farina.
Yeah.
Jack Kaler, who's the dude's landlord in The Big Lebowski.
Oh yeah.
Janine Garofalo.
Hey.
Patrick Warburton.
Yep.
Ben Foster.
Too. Yep.
Zooey Deschanel.
Sure.
Omar Epps.
Yep.
Jason Lee.
Okay. Skateboarding's Jason Lee.
Sofia Vergara. Modern Family, Sofia Vergara. Andy Richter.
Cecily Strong does a really good impression of her.
She does. She does. Yes, I have. And Michael McShane, the guy who played the guy who was Friar Tuck in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh yeah, okay.
And it's also got Heavy D. Heavy D's in there as well.
Are his boys there though?
No.
Oh, just Heavy D, not Heavy D and the boys.
Right. Gotcha. But It's got a fucking incredible. It's also got Siobhan Fallon from Men in Black.
Word.
Someone was wearing like a suit,
An Egger
like
suit.
like an Egger suit.
A straight
She's
Egger
in
suit.
there, the straight up Egger
Nice.
suit. She's in there as well. Martha Stewart has a cameo as herself. Like, it's a
Hey.
fucking wild movie. I remember really liking it. My fear is that it does not hold up. That is my fear with this movie.
We'll find
It
out.
has been a long time since since I was in college, since I've seen it. But that's his immediate follow-up. And because of 9/11, it gets pushed back a whole year, gets rewritten, goes through like a whole development hell process before it finally gets released. And then the worst of the Men in Black, well, second worst now, Men in Black 2.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I haven't even seen International because I know it's bad. But I thought 3 was a
Future
breath
episode of this
fresh air.
podcast.
I enjoyed 3, specifically Josh Brolin and Jermaine. I thought were really good in that.
Josh Brolin's so fucking good in Men in Black 3.
Very effective villain. I liked Jermaine Clement in that film as well. He was scary.
Then 4 years after Men in Black 2 and Big Trouble come out, we get RV. Robin Williams in RV. I'm not one of them.
It's kind of an indie hit, a sleeper hit, indie movie sort of deal.
6 years after that, we get Men in Black 3,
which I enjoyed.
Which honestly felt like a slight return to form, but then he follows it up. He follows it up, Tucker, 4 years later with a movie called 9 Lives, which is a Kevin Spacey talking cat movie.
Oh, yeah.
One of 2 talking cat movies released inside of 3 years.
Was the other one a Garfield?
No, the other one is called, it's a David Dakota film called, you're never going to believe it, A Talking Cat?
Oh, it's called A Talking Cat. Wow.
With an exclamation point, a question mark, and an exclamation point. So it's called A Talking Cat? And guess who's the voice of the cat? Guess who's the voice of the talking cat?
Is it you, Steven?
It's not.
Although,
Spacey? You know, if they'd asked me, no, it's not Kevin Spacey. It's Eric Roberts.
Hey, okay. Boy, that dude, I tell you,
Yep.
he's like if everybody wanted to work with Michael Madsen, which they don't, only Quentin Tarantino does. But like Eric Roberts will be in the biggest blockbuster of the year, and he'll be in your friend's movie down the street who's shooting a movie in their backyard. He'll show up in that.
For this one,
why not?
I think I read David Dakota just showed up to his house with a tape recorder and he just recorded everything in his living room.
Yeah, dude, I love the work ethic on that guy. Somebody shows up at his door with a tape recorder. He's like, yeah, fuck it. Let's do it. Come on. I was just making some coffee. Let's go.
But you know, because of the wild drug habit he had in the 80s, the projects of quality just aren't there.
Yeah.
And honestly, he kind of shot his career in the foot with Star 80. Have you seen Star 80?
No.
It's a fucking tough watch, dude. It's a tough fucking watch. You know what it is?
What it is?
It's the Dorothy Stratton, the Playboy playmate who was murdered by her boyfriend, by her ex-husband. Sorry, by her ex-husband. It's him. It's about the guy that murdered Dorothy Stratton, and he's played by Eric Roberts.
Oh, cool. No,
yeah, Bob Fosse read an article and was like, I relate to this guy. I want to make a movie about him. And it was the last movie Bob Fosse ever made too. So
bye, Bob Fosse. Later, dude.
I mean, Bob Fosse did direct 2 stone cold masterpieces. So, you know, the man directed Cabaret and All That Jazz, 2 of the best movie musicals ever committed to film.
You guys, if you're not a patron, Steven loves Cabaret.
I do.
Straight up loves Cabaret.
It is my favorite movie of my favorite decade of film.
I was just going to prove my listening comprehension by saying that, but you just ruined it. So
sorry. I said it 5 times. You'd have had to have been a really poor comprehender to miss it, but yeah.
Well, I think I probably retain about 30% of everything that's said to me.
Okay.
It's not because I'm not paying attention on purpose. It's just because my brain doesn't like to focus on things too much.
Your brain is like a 12-year-old on sugar, really, is what it is.
Yeah. Yep. That's true. So what else did Barry Sonnenfeld direct, Steven?
That's it. Nine Lives is his last film to date, 2006. Dude's coming up on a decade without having directed anything. So like, yeah, he's not done much lately is the point I'm
I
trying to
doubt that he
make.
has to, like with residuals on all those fucking hits that he made.
I was going to say like the first 5, like 4 of the first 5 are like practically perfect films.
And they're
It's
big ones too. Big
and,
ones. Make a lot of money.
here's the thing. This one also a big one, but not one that's and I think this one and the next one, like I said, this one and the next one kind of kill a lot of that momentum for him. Now I will say this for Barry Sonnenfeld, he does do a lot of TV.
Yeah.
In fact, he directed the entire first season of Schmigadoon,
which we love.
We do. He directed 10 episodes of a series of unfortunate events. He directed the 2013 TV movie Beverly Hills Cop. He directed.
Oh yeah, it was a pilot where it
Yeah.
was Axel Foley's son, and
Right.
not canon.
Right.
But
and he also directed a couple episodes. He directed a couple episodes of Pushing Daisies and 6 episodes of a show called Notes from the Underbelly, as well as the pilot episode of the live action Tick. So I mean, he's done
the Amazon one or the Patrick Warburton one.
The original, the Patrick Warburton. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot there was the second one.
Both really good in very different ways.
I mean, Ben Edlund has been involved in every television adaptation of the Tick, so all of them have his very specific brand of humor on them. I think Sonnenfeld is actually a producer on the Amazon one as well. Yes, he is. He's an executive producer on the Amazon one as well.
Nice. Which I thought was the natural evolution of that show. Like, I think every version of that show has been better than the last. The cartoon was great. The live action was great. And then that Amazon one that got canceled 2 seasons too soon.
Yeah.
Was peak Tick. Just peak. Really fleshed out that world.
It was so fucking good. Griffin Newman of the Blank Check podcast plays Arthur in that one. And he's so fucking good in it. Peter Serafinovich is amazing as the Tick. Valerie Curry as Dot is phenomenal. Like, it's got Alan Tudyk as Danger Boat. Yeah. Some peak fucking comedy. You get Michael Cerveris, like Tony Award winner Michael Cerveris is in there. You get John Hodgman, Judge John Hodgman himself is in there. Like, go watch Amazon Prime's The Tick. Yes, it's 2 seasons, but it's 2 seasons well spent. And the fact that if they'd renewed for a 3rd season, we could have gotten Thrakazog. Like, come on.
The worst part about that is it wasn't because of ratings, and it wasn't because of anything except for the simple fact that a new person took over Prime Video and just canceled everything.
Yep.
That's why I never got my 2nd season of Jean-Claude Van Johnson.
Oh, you love that show.
Oh, it's one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. 1 season, and it could have gone so many places. That's another one where people watched it, people liked it, but it just happened to be on hiatus when that guy took over, and he was just like, yeah, everything gets canceled except for like this one show.
Which fucking sucks. Like, because the Tick was unbelievable. It was so good. It's really good. Go watch the Amazon Prime Tick. Seriously, go watch it. Yes, there are problems with Amazon. I don't blame it. But if you've got it to watch Fallout and The Boys, you might as well go watch the Tick. Like, you might as well. Right?
And watch Jean-Claude Van Johnson when you're done. It's only 1 season.
So I say all that to say, like, Sonnenfeld, like, this is kind of the end of his hit run. And after this, it's misstep after misstep after misstep, which is a real fucking bummer because I love that early Sonnenfeld shit. Like, I love that early Sonnenfeld shit.
Yeah.
And with the exception of For Love and Money, every one of those movies got a sequel. Addams Family Values was the sequel, but like every single one of those first 5 got a sequel. And then we get to this one. And this one feels like it's trying to combine, like I think I said this a little bit ago, it's trying to combine what he did on Addams Family with what he did on Men in Black, because you cast the lead of Men in Black, Will Smith, and you do what you did in Men in Black. You cast him opposite a stuffy white dude, and Will Smith plus stuffy white dude equals comedy, clearly.
Usually, yeah.
But then you also are like with Addams Family, you're bringing kind of a modern, fresh take on a classic 60s or television show, not a sitcom, but a classic 60s TV show. But again, by this point in the late 90s, that whole notion was kind of passé.
Yep.
Like a lot of those were coming out in like 93, 94, 95. Like I was in elementary school during the heyday of those 60s TV shows becoming movies thing, with Beverly Hillbillies and Little Rascals was more of a 40s 50s show, but like Little Rascals was around that time. Mod Squad, the Brady Bunch movies, like these were happening a lot around this time. And so to have it happening at this point, like even Flintstones and Maverick in, I think, 94.
Yeah.
Like this is 5 years after that point. Like that's kind of been done. So like it's almost like oh, okay, well, yeah, we can do this one more time, I suppose. You know the big thing about this movie though, right, Tucker? Like the big thing with Will Smith in this movie?
Drumming the boobies?
No. No. Although that is kind of a great moment. Will Smith is offered another film that also came out in, it's The Matrix. He's offered The Matrix in 1999. The Wachowskis offer him The Matrix. He's not. Wachowskis offer him The Matrix. He decides to turn down The Matrix to do this movie because he was such a big fan of the show.
Oh, nice.
And he calls it the biggest regret of his career.
Wow.
As of October 2021, Will Smith calls this the worst movie he's ever made.
Wow, has he seen some of his other movies?
We're going to talk about a few of them later. We're going to talk about a few of them later this month.
Just making sure, because
here's the thing: most of the good ones don't get the good ones usually tend to get sequels.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're going to talk about the ones that didn't. So
yeah.
But here's the thing I will tell you: every movie we're covering comes out before 2021, so all of those movies are in contention, and this is the one that he tags as the worst. I guess when we cover the last movie of the month, we can kind of discuss whether or not we agree with him at that point. But I have a feeling you're not going to, regardless.
Probably not.
Probably not.
You know what else this movie has, Steven?
What's that?
It has a plot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
you think we should do something about that?
Yeah, I suppose. Might as well.
Man's
got to do, I suppose.
Well, then let's go ahead and bust out the coin of justice and talk about the plot in 60 seconds. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. Welcome to Will Smith Month. The plot in 60 seconds is the part of the show where we, Tucker, myself, discuss the plot of the movie that we are talking about in 60 seconds or less at the behest of the coin of justice. We're going to flip it. Tucker's going to call it. Heads is Lady Liberty. Tails is the crest of some nation, probably Great Britain, because this is a pound sterling. But I'm going to flip the coin, and Tucker, you're going to call it. What is it going to be?
Tails.
It is heads, my friend, which means it falls to you.
Okay.
To discuss the plot of 1999's Wild Wild West. Wiki Wild, Wiki Wild, Wiki Wiki Wild Wild West, Jim West, Desperado, Rough Rider. No, you don't want nada. None of this. Six gun in his brother running his Buffalo Soldier. Look, it's like I told you. Any damsel that's in distress, be out of that dress when she meet Jim West. All right, I'm done. I love that line. The any damsel that's in distress, be out of that dress when she meet Jim West. God, I love that line.
He's such a wordsmith, dude. Fresh Prince knows how to use words to where they sound real cool, dude. That's kind of one of his superpowers. Kind of what he does.
Anyway, I've got 1 minute on the clock. I am going to start it whenever you're ready. Give you the 30 and 10-second warnings. Your time starts, as I said, when you do.
Okay, so Jim West is a cowboy dude but he's like CIA or something, ATF, some such shit. But he is following General McGrath because he thinks that he's the guy who has the tank that killed his family, and so he finds him, and it turns out that it's not him. Actually, it was the dude in the wheelchair that doesn't have half a body. Arliss, what's his last name? Arliss
Loveless.
Lovelace.
30
Thank you.
seconds.
Okay. And so he and Kevin Kline get together at the urging of the president to hunt down Lovelace. And they meet Salma Hayek, and she gets kidnapped. And they have to stop a giant spider. And it's really rad. And every
10
time
seconds.
that the president shows up, I love trying to guess if it's him or Kevin Kline's character, even though he plays them
And
both.
that is time.
Plays them both all the time.
Kevin Kline does play both roles in this movie. Do you know who they originally wanted to play the the president? Who they originally wanted to play
Grant,
President Grant?
President Grant. Who?
They originally wanted Robert Conrad, who played Jim West in the original show.
Oh, that would have been so fucking cool.
They wanted him to make a cameo. They offered the role to him. He read the script and turned them down cold.
Boo. Boo.
He said he read the script and didn't think it matched the spirit of the original show. Didn't really do what he had thought and hoped that a film version of Wild Wild West would do. Basically was disappointed, and so he turned it down. Will Smith, of course, later would publicly apologize to Robert Conrad and basically say, look, I get it. But yeah, that was kind of what happened there.
Kinda. There's a lot of stuff that happens in that movie, but none of it's really important except the stuff that I just said, honestly.
Yeah.
Most of it's silly set pieces and fun little comedy moments, and
Right.
yeah, it's got a real 48 Hours vibe sometimes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jim West is very much Reggie from 48 Hours in some of this movie, specifically because of the racial undertones in this film, which it has to have, by the way. It has to have. If you're going to have a black protagonist
in a movie set in 1869, then yes.
Yeah. So he kind of had big Reggie vibes from 48 Hours in this a lot of times. The way that he spoke to other people who were very obviously racist. It reminded me a lot of 48 Hours.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, for my, I don't know, for my part, I think Will Smith is doing fine.
Yeah.
In this, but again, there are probably like 20 other people who would probably do just as good a job at doing what he's doing here. Maybe even better. I will say that looking at what I have been able to find from the pre-production of this movie, he is the one, like he's the only black guy they're considering. At one point, Mel Gibson is attached to star as Jim West with Richard Donner to direct. Richard Donner, who had actually directed the original show. They went on to do Maverick. The script on that one, by the way, would have been written by Shane Black.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. And then after that, they tasked, they had Tom Cruise on board, and then Tom Cruise ended up leaving to do his own 1960s film adaptation in Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the last one of those that really works. And then it just gets like, after the first movie, it kind of goes off and veers off in its own direction and becomes its completely own thing. Yeah. Like ends up getting a huge, its own identity, really, apart from the original show. Like most people don't, that's like a trivia thing. Did you know Mission Impossible is based on a show?
Yeah, dude.
Because I think the only character in that first movie from the show was the John Voight character, Jim Phelps.
I like and respect all of the Mission Impossible films, but I really wish that it had become kind of like Mad Max, where like each one is a little bit different, because that's how it started out.
It
like
is.
You had that first one that was very much an espionage film.
which is my favorite for that reason.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, and it's so good. And then the second one, just completely different tone. Completely.
Because initially it was an auteur driven franchise. It was Tom Cruise approaching directors he really liked and going, "Hey, you want to direct a Mission Impossible movie? Just do whatever you want." And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why those first four movies, it's Brian De Palma making the most Brian De Palma movie ever, John Woo making the most John Woo movie ever.
That he can get
But
away with in America. Yes.
yeah, but then you go J.J. Abrams, who's basically just making an episode of Alias.
Yeah.
And then you get Brad Bird, who is doing some cool visual stuff, but that's like one of his first live action films. And so it's got kind of a very different feel. And then Christopher McQuarrie comes on and basically becomes the only director allowed to do Mission Impossible movies after that.
And you know what? Good for him. He deserves it. He's phenomenal. We got to watch Way of the Gun, Steven. We got to watch Way of the Gun, dude.
Put it on a straight up, man. Put it on a straight up, and I will.
We'll have JP Leck on that one. We
There
both
you go.
like that one. Ooh-wee.
There you go.
So good.
But like, I don't. So they bring in Kevin Kline to kind of match the stuffy white guy energy of Tommy Lee Jones. And Kevin Kline feels like he's above this entire movie the whole time. He feels like he's slumming it in this movie. And I think that's how he actually felt doing this movie. He's like, I've won an Oscar. What the fuck am I doing here? Is kind of his attitude.
You know, I believe that, but also like maybe that worked for his performance because I think he's really funny in this movie.
Here's the
He
thing.
is pretty
He's a
hilarious
pro.
in this movie. Yeah.
Kevin Kline's a pro.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
if you hire him to do something, he's going to do it. Whether or not he's having fun is inconsequential. It's another thing altogether. But, like, so he wins an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in 1988 for a little film called A Fish Called Wanda. So his night, like, he is a hot commodity in the 90s. And he starts the 90s with a little movie called I Love You to Death, in which he plays, like, apparently, like, a very stereotypical over the top Italian American gentleman doing the accent and everything. Other highlights from the 90s, he does Soap Dish in 91. He plays Douglas Fairbanks in Chaplin in 92. Robert Downey Jr., Richard Attenborough's Chaplin.
I like that movie.
Ivan Reitman's Dave. He's the lead in Ivan Reitman's Dave. He's the narrator of the Nutcracker movie with Macaulay Culkin. You forgot that existed, didn't you?
No, I just don't give a fuck.
Fair enough. 95, he does French Kiss. Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame in 96. The belated follow-up to A Fish Called Wanda, Fierce Creatures in 97. Also in 97, honestly, 97, a great year for Kevin Spacey. He does Fierce Creatures, Ang Lee's The Ice Storm, and Frank Oz's In and Out, all in 97. A fucking great year for Kevin Kline. And then in 99, he does the film version of A Midsummer Night's Dream, where he plays Nick Bottom.
Is that the one with Mel Gibson?
No, I think you're thinking Mel Gibson's Hamlet. That's the one with Stanley Tucci.
No, there was one with Mel Gibson. It was Christian. It was Ethan Hawke that was in Hamlet, and Julia Stiles and
no, Mel Gibson did a version of Hamlet as well.
Okay, I believe you. I was saying around this time generally.
Kevin Kline, Michelle Pfeiffer, Rupert Everett, Stanley Tucci, Callista Flockhart, Anna Friel, Christian Bale, Dominic West, David Strathairn, Sophie Marceau, like fucking Bill Irwin, Sam Rockwell. Yeah, fucking great. But no, the Mel Gibson, I don't know that Mel Gibson, I know he did a version of Hamlet.
Yeah, I believe you.
But I don't know if he's done. I don't know that he's done any other Shakespeare. I'm looking at his filmography right now because if he's done A Midsummer Night's Dream, I kind of want to know about it. But I did not know that he had done any other Shakespeare besides that one. He does, his Hamlet comes out in 1990, so a very early kind of preceding a lot of Kenneth Branagh's stuff. But yeah, that's the only Shakespeare film he's done.
Word.
And that's the one I think with Glenn Close's Guinevere.
Yeah.
In it, the Franco Zeffirelli Hamlet is that one.
Word.
Or Gertrude, not Guinevere, Gertrude. That one's also got Helena Bonham Carter, Ian Holm as Polonius. The cast, though, not as strong as Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet, which we'll talk about here momentarily. But like, yeah, Kevin Kline's apparently his whole attitude is, I have an Oscar. What the fuck am I doing in this movie? Kind of seems to be his whole attitude toward it.
Well, I've got news for Kevin Kline, and the headline is "Shove It," because look, I've seen A Fish Called Wanda, and I've seen Fierce Creatures, and despite it being tailor-made for me, both of those movies, you got a couple pythons in there, you got Kevin Kline, you got Jamie Lee Curtis up in that motherfucker.
Fish Called Wanda is amazing. I love Fish Called
I
Wanda.
hate both of those movies. I don't think they're funny. I don't think anything in any of those movies is funny. Everything falls flat. I cannot fucking stand them. But you know what? I love Kevin Kline in this movie. I think he is hilarious. So you know what, Kevin Kline? I'm glad that you have opinions about your movies, but maybe, maybe don't disparage your work, because some people really love it and find great joy in it, even if it's not something that you enjoy doing. So
the line I quote, one of the lines I quote most from any movie ever is Kevin Kline's oft repeated line in A Fish Called Wanda, where he just yells "asshole" as he's driving. I love it so much. It's such a great line. It's one of the rare instances of an actor winning an Oscar for a comedy performance, which never happens. But I think that's just how good he is in that fucking movie. He's unbelievable in it. And he deserved that Oscar, man.
Steven, I can't figure out why I don't like those movies, because I should. I really should. I don't understand. I've actually tried to watch A Fish Called Wanda, I think probably about 7 times now, and I can't get through about 30 minutes of it. It's just so
Ken is trying to kill me. So good.
Yeah,
dude.
not funny. Not funny.
I love it. I love it so much. It's so good.
I wish I want to, though. That's what makes me mad, because it's like one of those things that's got a lot of my favorite people in it. And I'm like, how does this not work for me? How does this not work?
It should work for you. It should work for everybody. It's a great movie.
Maybe one day I'll mature enough past like 25 and, call back, and maybe I'll appreciate it in a different way.
Yeah. I will say, Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh, their immediate follow-up to this is the future episode of this podcast, the DreamWorks film The Road to El Dorado.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, we're gonna cover that at some point, because
they
like
absolutely Prince of Egypt too.
They did a prequel to that one, though. Yeah, they did a prequel to that one. Joseph, like something of Dreams, King of Dreams, yeah, something like that. So yeah, we cannot cover Prince of Egypt, but we can absolutely cover Road to El Dorado.
Man, I missed that early DreamWorks animation, man. I liked those movies.
We could probably do a whole theme month, actually. We could probably do like a DreamWorks December.
Shrek killed it, man. Everything after Shrek was just like, I don't give a fuck.
And they wanted to make sequels to all that shit. It's Road to El Dorado. We got Sinbad, Monsters vs. Aliens, which has had like a lot of like straight to video shorts and shit, but like nothing actually like full length. I would have said Megamind, but Megamind just fucking got a sequel earlier this year. Which fucking
Steven just finding out like a week before we're supposed to cover the movie. I'm like, hey man, I think there's a sequel to this.
Yeah, less than a week. That was some unwelcome news indeed. You're like, what's this about? And I Googled Megamind sequel, and sure enough, there is one. And I'm like, oh fuck, man, I could have waited
for the episode. Then we would have had to do the sequel as well.
No, look, I'm glad you told me when you did, but still, I was like, well, fuck, now I got to find something else. And then Donald Sutherland died, so we're like, okay, we can cover Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We can cover one of like the 4 Donald Sutherland movies that we can cover on this podcast, and you guys wanted to do that one, so we have that one locked and loaded, and then everyone had to drop out of that episode.
Yeah, dude.
So we did a rewind, a revisited. But yeah, Madagascar we can't do. Kung Fu Panda we can't do. Crudes we can't. Turbo's another one. We could also do
there was a TV series on that though on Netflix,
but TV doesn't count for what we do.
Yeah, I know.
We could do Peabody and Sherman.
There was a Netflix show on that too. And I do want to see that because it's the only Rocky and Bullwinkle related film that I have not seen.
I have seen it. It's not bad.
Word.
That one also has Stanley Tucci in it. For what it's
Love
worth.
me some Stanley Tucci.
I know you do. I know you do.
So can we cover Peabody and Sherman then?
Yeah.
Put it on the list.
So, like I'm saying, we can do an entire DreamWorks theme month.
Let's do it.
DreamWorks animation theme month. We can make that happen.
Make sure Peabody and Sherman's on there because I do want to watch that movie, but not enough to watch it on my own volition.
That's, you know what? Fair. Totally fair.
Sometimes you need to push in the right direction, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of pushing in the right direction, Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, dude. Steals this fucking movie, dude. Steals it right out of in front of everybody. Just hamming it up, dude.
It's British actors, for whatever reason, love doing a Southern accent.
Oh, his Southern accent is
It's like Foghorn Leghorn.
Yes.
It's like gay Foghorn Leghorn is what he's doing in this movie.
Yes.
And I'm kind of here for it, but it's ridiculous. It's so over the top. No Southern person I have ever met sounds like this man. And yet I still kind of believe it.
Yeah.
And
it's the Dick Van Dyke Mary Poppins thing, dude. Sometimes you do it so bad that it's really fucking good.
For a man without a lower half of his body, he is the horniest motherfucker I've ever seen in a film.
Yes.
Like, I forgot how horny this movie is, and it is all Lovelace's like female assistants, and he's got 4 of them, and they're played by 4 of the most beautiful women I've ever seen on film.
Yeah, dude.
It's Bai Ling, who is fucking gorgeous. It is Musetta Vander, who I had such a crush on in the 90s. It's Frederic Vanderwall, and it's Sophia Eng. Like the horniest movie I've ever seen, and these women are walking around essentially in bustiers the whole movie. So, you know, teenage Steven was here for this shit.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm seriously just like 4 of the most beautiful women ever committed to film. Musetta Vander in particular was a crush of mine, who plays Munitia in this movie. She was also in Oh Brother Where Art Thou as one of the sirens.
Yeah. If I may quote Beavis, boy yoy 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 yoing.
Or if I may quote Wayne Campbell, swing.
Swing. Yes. I.
Not to get horny on Maine or anything, but yes. No, like, absolutely. She was also in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, a future episode of Unenfranchised, I'm sure.
Katana?
Sindel.
That was going to be my second guess. Yeah. That movie sucks.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I didn't like the first one, so I can't imagine the second one's going to be any good.
I thought the first one was a bit of dumb fun. I enjoyed Christopher Lambert in that movie. I sure did.
Yeah, I bet you did.
I love me some Christopher Lambert.
Christopher Lambert being all creepy and weird. But Kenneth Branagh at this point was mostly known for Shakespeare, for his Shakespeare adaptations. He was the Shakespeare guy. Honestly, kind of still to this day known as he's either the Shakespeare guy or the weird fucking accent guy. Because between this movie and what he's doing in future episode of this podcast, Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, and movie we'll never cover on this podcast, Tenet, he's doing some weird fucking accents in those movies. Like, I feel like anytime he's in a movie where he has to do an accent, he does the most ridiculous version of that accent.
Him and Tom Hardy, they do that a lot.
They never talk normal.
No. And I like in Venom, he does 2 voices that are just wacky. Yes. Like his Eddie Brock voice is really silly, and then his Venom voice is, I think it's honestly one of the best voice acting performances by a non-voice actor is his performance as Venom. And even though I don't think those movies are all that great, they're fine, whatever. But him as Venom, like the symbiote, it's comedy fucking gold. He is so hilarious.
Like a turd in the wind.
Yeah, dude. He's fantastic. Love it. I want to watch an animated series of like pre-Venom where it's just like the symbiote rolling around in space and shit. Just to hear his goofy thoughts and shit, and how ridiculous he is. And Tom Hardy voices him. I'd watch that.
Sure. There you go.
Yeah.
But no, Branagh is basically like a second coming of Olivier, like the guy who's bringing Shakespeare to the unwashed masses. And to his credit, he's way more prolific than Olivier, but he kind of starts this 90s boom, this 90s Shakespeare boom, which results in stuff like Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, Tim Blake Nelson's O, Gil Junier's 10 Things I Hate About You. Like all these Shakespeare adaptations that we get in the 90s are thanks to Kenneth Branagh. And he, at this point in the 90s, he's done most of the films he's done are stuff he's directed. So like Dead Again, he directed. Peter's Friends, he directed. He's got an uncredited role in Swing Kids, which, I mean, Swing Kids.
I like that movie. Boy, that gets dark quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Oh,
That
yeah,
movie
it does.
does. You're having a great time, then all of a sudden, damn.
Right up till you're not. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Right up till you're not.
I do love that movie though.
It's good. I remember really enjoying it. Yeah. Swing Heil, is that what they say in that movie?
That is the thing they say in that movie, yeah.
Oof, that's weird to say now.
Such a good movie.
And then he stars and directs in both Much Ado About Nothing and Frankenstein. He stars in the 1995 version of Othello, but does not direct it. He plays Iago in that one, opposite Lawrence Fishburne as Othello. He directs Hamlet with a star-studded fucking cast. I think that's the one with Bill Murray and Kate Winslet and Billy Crystal and Charlton Heston and just
how many Hamlets has Bill Murray been in? Damn.
I think he's just been in the one.
No, he's in the modernized version with Ethan Hawke I was talking about before. He's in that too. Julia Stiles. Yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah. Yeah. He plays the mom's boyfriend. The uncle. He's the uncle.
Polonius.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the role he plays in the Kenneth Branagh one, but I could be wrong.
It's fucking wild, dude.
I could be really, really wrong. I could have sworn he was in that one. No, you're right. I'm way off base on this one. I could have sworn he was in the Kenneth Branagh one, but no, apparently he is not. Now I'm curious who plays Polonius in that one because I thought it was Bill Murray.
Oh no, dude.
I don't know. Julie Christie plays Gertrude. Derek Jacobi is Claudius. Richard Attenborough as the English ambassador. Brian motherfucking Blessed as the ghost of Hamlet's father. Richard Briers is the actor that plays Polonius in that one. Billy Crystal plays a gravedigger. Gerard Depardieu is in that motherfucker as well. Judi Dench is in there. Like it's like the cast is fucking wall to wall bangers. Like everybody in this movie is fucking somebody. John Gielgud, Rosemary Harris, Charlton Heston, Rowena King, Jack Lemmon. Just like fucking again, who's who? Rufus Sewell, Timothy Spall. Timothy Spall plays Rosencrantz. Fucking love that. Nice. Robin Williams is in this motherfucker.
He is in that one. Hey, I should see that.
You should.
But Steven, you need to see the other one though, because I think you would really like it.
The Ethan Hawke one?
Yes, I think you would like it a lot. Actually,
who directed that one?
I don't know, just some dude,
some bloke.
Yeah, just some fella.
Michael Almereyda.
Sure. I came out at the movie theater when I worked there, and we got copies of the soundtrack for free.
Okay.
Yeah, on CD. And there's some good shit on that soundtrack. That's a fantastic soundtrack.
Branagh, like Will Smith, another actor to turn down another role to be in this movie. He turned down what I think was the lead role in the Richard Attenborough film Grey Owl, which went to Pierce Brosnan.
And direct-to-video, I'm assuming, because I've never heard of it.
No.
What the fuck?
But, yeah. Also comes out in 99. Branagh takes this role for the paycheck, and when he has to tell Attenborough he has to drop out of Grey Owl, Attenborough's like, you know what? Totally get it. You do what you have to do. Don't even feel bad about it. Like Attenborough's just like, you know what? I get it, man. I've been there. Yeah. Sometimes you got to take the money when the money's that good. So,
yep.
But yeah, Kenneth Branagh, and he's probably the best part of this movie, which isn't saying a lot, but yeah, he's doing all the Kenneth Branagh things. And again, this is one of the early instances of him like talking in a very just bizarre, over the top, weird accent too. So
I love it. He's very very funny in this film. Every line that he delivers, I am I'm invested in. I want to hear what this idiot has to say because he's just so ridiculous.
my favorite scenes, and this is awful, and I kind of hate myself for this, are the scenes where it's the back and forth between him and Will Smith, where Kenneth Branagh is saying the most awful racist shit, and and Will Smith is just talking about how he's only half of a human being. Like
I li-
it's
every time they're on screen together, I'm like, okay, do it now, do it now, do it now.
because it's so
I love
fucking
it.
racist and ableist, and I hate that I love it as much as I do.
No,
But
there's
like all the ways that they find to just be terrible to each other, because they do it at the party and then they do it again right at the end, and you're like, oh my
well,
god, like
and here's the thing: the best part about it is it's not explicitly racist. It's a or ableist. It's a context based thing. Anything that they're saying to each other in different context, perfectly fine. But the
right.
fact that he's saying to Kenneth Branagh, "I don't want to get the legs cut out from underneath me,"
Hmm.
to him, and the things that he says to Will Smith.
Yeah, the fact that it's Will Smith and Kenneth Branagh playing a person who's lost the lower half of his body. Now, Branagh performed that role entirely on his knees. Um,
Yes,
and he would have to like stop filming every few minutes to like stand up and walk around,
yeah,
because otherwise he would lose complete circulation of the lower half of his body. So, by
sure,
all accounts, not an easy role for him to perform in this
yeah,
particular context.
fuck yeah. But hey, it was worth the money. And it brought me joy,
He
so
was
much
paid
joy.
a lot of money for it.
Good for him. And now he's doing those series of movies with the detective guy, right?
Another one where he's got an absolutely ridiculous accent, Hercule
Are
Poirot.
are
Correct.
those
That's a
good? My
fucking.
roommate watched those and she really
I've
liked them.
I've seen the first two. I've not seen the most recent one that came out last year yet. The one
The
with like
haunting one?
the haunting in Venice. I
Yeah.
liked the first one. The second one was okay. Um, but and it was kind of one of those like, I guess I'll see the third one. But the thing about it is he's able to get a really fucking good cast together. Like they're all star cast. The only problem is with the second one, about half the all star cast was like really controversial at the time. He gets fucking Army Hammer, who's
Hey.
going through the cannibal shit.
Yeah.
Gal Gadot, who's going through the Israeli army thing,
Uh-huh.
and you've got Letitia Wright, who's going through the anti-mask, anti-vax thing. Like
Yeah.
all around the time that movie comes out, like you got all three of those people just being kind of awful in the press, and so it kind of overshadows what is honestly a not half bad movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
So
that they have the courage, unlike Netflix, who insists that Ryan Johnson call all of his movies a Knives Out tale
yeah.
in case we're too stupid to
Hmm.
understand. These movies, they trust their audience enough to know, hey, this is part of this series. We don't need to
Yeah.
like put it on there in the title. You just know because you know this character he's from the movie.
That's the guy from the movie. And here's the thing. This is a thing we're going to talk about at least at some other point, but Kenneth Branagh is one of those guys who just really wants to direct a franchise. Just feels like the kind of guy who just really, really wants to direct his own franchise. And
Yeah.
the fact that he's got this Hercule Poirot thing that he's finally able to do, feels like he's finally getting the chance, because he directs Thor, the original Thor, in 2011.
Did a
He
really
then
good
the
job. That's a really good looking
a few
movie.
right a few years after that, he does future episode of this podcast, Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit. The year after that, he does Cinderella, Disney Cinderella. 2017, Murder on the Orient Express. 2020, see our previous episode, Artemis Fowl. And like, so he's got like all these like shots at bat to try to like get a sequel off, or a franchise of his own off the ground. None of them hits until Murder on the Orient Express gets Death on the Nile, and then he does 2 of those inside of 2 years. Death on the Nile is 2022, Haunting in Venice is 2023, and those things come out like boom, boom. And honestly, Haunting in Venice probably looks like the one I'm gonna like the best. I'm looking at this like still image from the movie, and it's got like Hercule Poirot standing in front of a like a cross, shadow of a cross with like all red background. And the cast is incredible. You got Michelle Yeoh, Jamie Dornan, Tina Fey, like these incredible Italian actors. Kelly Riley's in it. God, she's great. What a cat! Like, see, I need to watch this movie. I just need to suck it up and watch it. It's on
I need
Hulu.
to
I should
watch
just
that
watch
whole
it.
series. Yeah.
I thought the first 2 were fun. Like, again, Death on the Nile kind of gets overshadowed by its the people misbehaving in its cast, but I feel like they're all on Hulu right now. So if you have Hulu, you can check those out.
I might if I have time. Our busy season is like starts mid-June and then it
Mm-hmm.
runs basically through mid-August, and then we slow way the fuck down. So I'll have, because you remember when the season started, I was still watching a bunch of shit
Yeah.
because it's slow for a while. I mean, it hits in the midsummer, but the beginning and the end of the season are slow. So I think that's going to be my celebration to the end of the busy part of the season. I'll watch those 3 movies.
And so the first one is not on Hulu. The other 2 are. I will say Leslie Odom Jr. is in the first of those Hercule Poirot movies, Murder on the Orient Express. And then he's later in Knives Out. So he is in 2 murder mystery movies where he plays a potential killer being hunted by a detective with an absurd accent. And I kind of
Hey,
love that. That sounds
yeah,
like a hyper specific Letterboxd list for me.
for sure.
But yeah, man, like Kenneth Branagh I think he's great. I want him to direct more movies. Even if they're just Hercule Poirot movies, I want him to direct more of those. They're
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
And really, the only major cast member we haven't discussed yet is Salma Hayek.
She's all right in this.
She's underused.
I think she's underused, and I
She
don't
doesn't have
think
any fucking thing to do, and I don't like her character.
I'm saying she doesn't really have much of a character,
No,
though she does help with the humor. She provides some humor.
she
There's some
does.
stuff that she's involved with that I laugh with a lot, but overall, just not an interesting character. Not a character that I really care about too much, but still, she's fine. I don't think she's bad in the role at all.
She's essentially just like an object of contention between their 2 leads who were both attracted to her.
And that's the thing I do like about it, is the twist at the end that they never had a chance anyway because the
Right.
scientist was her husband. I thought that was fantastic.
And that's I like that, and I don't, because every word out of her mouth up until that point has been a lie.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like the twist. Yeah, yeah.
But the fact that up to that point everything she's said has just been kind of like her lying to get the thing that she wants to everybody.
Well, if you kind of look at it in hindsight, which is why I think it works a little better for me now than it did the first time I saw it. Um, that's all she does in this
I know.
movie. Even if you know, even if you don't know that that's her husband, the first time you see her, she's on some bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
The first time you see her, that's so that should be an indication, I feel like, that something's up. But you don't realize that until the twist comes and you're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. She was on some bullshit like this whole movie."
A movie
Yeah.
that does that really well, though, like really fucking well,
Mhm.
way better than this. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels does that so much better than this movie.
Can you believe I haven't seen that?
No,
Me
dude,
neither.
go
I know.
fucking
I know.
watch that movie.
I know. I know.
I may have just ruined
Yeah.
the ending for you.
I don't remember what you said. Remember 30%.
No, like, but it does the woman is on her bullshit the whole time.
So you reminded me. Cool. All right.
I did.
Now you've spoiled it for me.
You're welcome.
Okay.
But no, like I just it's a I it's still a wild ride of a movie, honestly, and you absolutely should see it because Steve Martin and Michael Caine are hilarious in it. Glenn Headley is amazing.
I love all those people. So
Then you
I'm into
will
it.
love this movie. It's an amazing film, and it's directed by the great Frank Oz, who we love.
Oh yeah, we do love Frank
We do
Oz
love Frank Oz.
in all of his endeavors as an actor, as a Muppet performer, as a director.
Yes,
Just way into Frank Oz in every possible way.
exactly. The man is a fucking legend. Respect on in the name.
Mm-hmm.
But no, but I in that movie, the actress is playing dumb the whole time, and it's not till the very end that you realize she's been playing everybody. But she has a character, and she has a something akin to agency, whereas I never get the impression that Selma Hayek's character in this movie does,
Yeah, I don't give a shit about her
which
character.
is a problem. Like, she's literally there to be TNA, a breast of fresh ass, as it were. Um,
Steven, this movie's so funny. I laugh pretty much nonstop during this movie. And when I'm not laughing, I'm just watching in wonder, just being like, man, I fucking love this movie. Damn. You ever have that, Steven, where like, you're watching a movie and it's so good and you're just like, fuck, I'm
yeah,
so into this. You just kind of stop for a moment and you're like, holy shit, I am into this movie. Yeah, that's me. When I'm not laughing, that's what's going on in my brain. I'm like, man, I can't believe how much I love this fucking movie. This is fantastic. It's having a great time.
I don't feel that way about this movie. I wish
And
I
that's
did.
fair. I understand why people don't, because it's not. Well, that's the thing, is that it is, in a lot of ways, despite the fact that the script is garbage,
It's a
uh,
mess.
in a lot of ways, this is a very well made film.
Mhm.
And it's a tailor-made Tucker movie, man. Everything about this movie is it's for me. It's like they just made it directly for me, which I don't actually think that. It just seems that way sometimes. And I'm not like in the Truman Show or anything. That's not a thing that's real, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
Of
Good.
course, if it were, I would have to say that. So,
Yeah. We'd drive golf balls off the broken bridge. You'd bring a six
hmm,
pack. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Make sure to look directly into camera.
We can't find him.
Oh, before I move too far off of Kenneth Branagh, I do want to say his character is not actually on the TV show, but is an amalgamation of two different characters. One named Miguelito Loveless, who is played by Michael Dunn, who is perhaps best
Oh.
known from the Star Trek episode, the original series Star Trek episode, Plato's Stepchildren. He's a little person, basically.
That's why his name's Little Miguel.
Miguelito, right? Little
Yeah,
Mike.
like I said, Little Miguel. Yeah,
Mikey
whatever, dude.
Loveless.
Yeah, dude.
But he's a little person, played by Paul Williams in the second made-for-TV movie that they did for the show. But Michael Dunn plays him in the original series for 10 episodes, one of the more popular recurring villains in the show, and then an amputee Southern general, Confederate general, played by Ricardo Montalban. And so they kind of smashed those two characters together and came up with Arliss Loveless, basically.
Nice.
Wanted to mention that before I got too deep, too far away from Branagh. But Hayek is again kind of at the height of her powers here, although her 90s is a little more up and down. She's done a lot. She did a lot of great stuff in the 90s. Some of her best stuff in the 90s, honestly. Her best stuff comes in the early 2000s because that's when she does Frida, and
You
Frida
got Frida in there, dude.
Frida fucking rules. I'm just
If
gonna throw
anybody
that.
has any doubts that Selma Hayek has any talent, just watch Frida.
I
That's
mean,
all you
she's
gotta do.
amazing. Frida's an
She's right there.
amazing film,
Yeah.
like directed by Julie Taymor, and like fucking incredible. It's wild. That movie is so good.
Look, I watched that on, I think, I don't remember. It was one of the movie channels in like mid 2000s, and I have no interest in it. I was just flipping around and it was starting, and I was just immediately fucking hypnotized by that movie. Like as soon I
It's so
just flipped
good.
to the channel, I was like, "Oh, what's this? What's this now?
Hmm.
Oh, Frida. Okay. Oh, okay, I guess I'm gonna watch this."
Julie Taymor is a fucking visual stylist. Like her movies look incredible. Frida, it's Titus, which also
With
looks
Anthony Hopkins.
insane with Anthony Hopkins and Alan
Yeah,
Cumming. Fucking amazing.
that is really good.
Across the Universe, which again looks in that movie looks, for all the flaws of that movie, it looks incredible.
It does look great, but that movie fucking sucks. Outside of that, for me, it fucking sucks.
Weirdly, it is the first movie my partner and I ever saw together in a theater.
That's fantastic.
So I mean,
I'm
we've
glad
got
you guys
that.
like it, though. Of course, just because I don't like it, I want it to bring
Sure,
you joy for sure.
sure. I understand.
I think it
And then
sucks.
she also directed the 2010 version of The Tempest with Helen Mirren.
Yeah, I didn't see that because I
Um,
mean, why?
and Jaimon Hansu as well. Like fucking cool. And then she in 2020 she directed a biopic of Gloria Steinem called The Glorias,
I'd watch that.
with Julianne Moore, Alicia Vikander, and your girl Janelle Monáe.
I might. I definitely have to fucking watch it. That's
So
my.
yeah,
She gonna be my girlfriend one day, Steven.
I hope you're right. I don't think you are, but I hope you're right.
She's
I
the
don't know if
perfect
you're her
one.
type, but yeah.
How do you know? What's that supposed to mean, Steven? What's that supposed to mean? I'm not cool enough? You don't think I can
No,
hang, Steven?
not what I mean.
Do you think I'm out of my prime, dude? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I think you're out of your depth, is what I think.
She do have a big ass. You're right. You're right.
I don't know how she feels about men, is what I'm saying.
No, I know all that, but Steven, I'll be the one, right? It'll be me, right? She just needs to get with me. That's all it is, right?
I mean, to be fair, she
That's
is
how that works,
bisexual.
right?
She is
Yeah, dude.
bisexual and pansexual, so
Yeah.
maybe you got a shot. Who
She's
knows?
fucking smoking too. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry
Oh
to
no,
objectify you, Janelle Monáe. I don't want to because I like everything about you. It's just you're fucking smoking hot. I don't know what to say.
she's a beautiful
Smoking hot.
woman. Among her other
Smoking
many
hot.
attributes, she's also an
Yeah.
incredibly talented musician and an
Oh
amazing
gosh, yes.
actress. Let's
Fantastic. Glass
not
Onion.
get it
Holy shit.
twisted. She's so good in Glass Onion.
What was the movie about the female astronauts? Hidden Figures.
Hidden
She's really good
Figures,
in that
yes.
too, dude. Did you see that?
Moonlight, dude. Fucking Moonlight.
Oh yeah, it's fucking good in that too. Yeah, dude.
And here's the thing I'll say: Janelle Monáe, when's she bad?
I haven't. I've seen bad things with her in it, or not bad things, but just things that don't really live up to her stature as a performer. But she's still fantastic in
I
them.
did see Antebellum, bad movie that she is somehow very good in.
I haven't seen that.
It's not good.
Well, damn. Can't win all the time.
She's fine. She's in that Lady and the Tramp, that live action Lady and the Tramp movie that was released direct to Disney Plus.
Guess so.
Future episode of this podcast, Ugly Dolls.
Oh yeah.
That weird ass Richard or Robert Zemeckis film, Welcome to Marwen. Forgot she was in that.
Me too.
But yeah, there you go. Janelle Monáe, we love her.
Yeah.
But Salma Hayek though, her 90s run starts in 93. She's in a very small role in a film called My Crazy Life, or Mi Vida Loca.
Mm-hmm.
And then hits it big a couple years later in a little film called Desperado, directed by one Robert Rodriguez. Ever heard of it? She's fucking amazing in that movie.
But then she really pops off.
Her 90s run is all over the place. So she's in 96, she does the Cindy Crawford, Billy Baldwin movie Fair Game, and then follows that up with From Dusk Till Dawn.
Satanico Pandemonium.
Also directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah,
in which doesn't Tarantino like suck her feet? Is she the one whose feet Tarantino's sucking on in that movie?
Well, she puts her foot in his mouth and pours liquor down her leg. So yes, there's a toe. There's a toe dipped or two. There's a dipped toe. Yeah.
She's in the Matthew Perry comedy Fools Rush In 97. The weird the weird movie about Studio 54 with like Nev Campbell, Ryan Phillippe, her and Mike Myers. Yeah. Fucking wild. That movie, I remember the advertising, but I remember never seeing it.
It's really good. You should see it.
It felt like it was trying to be Boogie Nights.
It wasn't.
It
I
wasn't?
promise.
Okay.
That's probably why it got made. That's probably why it got greenlit. But no, it
Right.
wasn't.
Okay. And then, of course, she has a small role in another Rodriguez film, 1998's The Faculty, future episode of this podcast, The Faculty.
Starring Jon Stewart.
Yes. And then past episode, and Harry Knowles, past episode of, yes.
We can keep going.
we can. Josh Hartnett.
And, straight up Robert Patrick up in that motherfucker too.
Jordana Brewster.
And Elijah Wood.
Yeah, Elijah Wood. I'm
fucking Warren from Empire Records is in that movie.
Piper Laurie is in there as well. Piper Laurie from Twin Peaks.
Dude, yeah.
And then past episode of Oops All Christianity Corner, she's in Dogma the year this movie comes out. She does double duty. She's Dogma and Wild Wild West.
That's when she got a body, $50. Yeah. That's my favorite thing that she's ever said in her entire life are those two lines. It's constantly running around my head.
But yeah, she didn't really have a good time making this because the entire time she's like, what am I doing here? I'm barely in this movie. I have nothing to do.
Your eye candy and your comic foil.
And barely the second one. So
yeah. She got some good jokes that wouldn't exist if she weren't in that movie. I'm just saying, there's some of the top tier fucking jokes.
One or two, not many. Again, she really is completely underused, completely underutilized. She knew it. We know it. Like, she just does not have a lot to do, which is a fucking bummer because she's, again, as we've said, insanely talented. But I feel like at this point of her career, she is mostly reduced to her looks. And I don't think a lot of people really start to take her seriously until she shows up in Traffic the year after this. And then, of course, Frida is her big calling card movie. Her big swing.
I think for people who are insanely attractive, that can be a difficult thing to get past. You know, like, I don't want to say boo-hoo, you're so hot. But at the same time, when you're that attractive, especially when you're that uniquely attractive, nobody looks like Salma Hayek. Nobody. No. Not one damn person looks like Salma. You can't say, oh, that person kind of looks like Salma Hayek, or that she's got Salma Hayek's eyes. No. Salma Hayek is a singular beauty.
She is.
And so that's all people see or care about. When you're that fucking pretty and that uniquely pretty, nobody gives a fuck if you can give a good performance. Nobody gives a fuck if you're funny. No, you are the hottest thing I've ever seen. Get in my movie and do nothing but let us look at you.
Right. Which, I mean, in several early films of hers, that's kind of what she's reduced to. But when she gets an opportunity to play outside of that, like in Fools Rush In or in Dogma or in Frida, she really knocks it out of the park. There was one she was in, I think, fairly recently that she got a lot of attention for.
What was that? I remember that. I remember her coming back into the public consciousness for a minute.
Beatrice at Dinner in 2017. Like, that was one. And that movie, it's like her. I think John Lithgow's in there as well. Connie Britton, the great Connie Britton in there. Jay Duplass, Amy Landecker, Chloe Sevigny, great cast. John Early, God, what a cast! What a fucking cast on this thing. Directed by Miguel Arteta. She's a holistic medicine practitioner who attends the dinner party of a wealthy client after her car breaks down, and it's kind of this exploration of like race in America in 2017 and like class disparity, and it got a lot of buzz and a lot of attention, and there were a lot of people thinking that she might get another Oscar nomination for it, which would have been kind of cool if she had. So far she's only been nominated for Frida. That's it.
Oh, hey, she was in the new Puss in Boots movie too. That makes me happy because she's done a
She's
lot
in
of really
both of
cool
them.
stuff with Antonio Banderas before.
Yeah, I
They've
mean,
been
yeah, they're good friends. Yeah, she's in both of the Puss in Boots movies. She's in House of Gucci, Eternals. Like she's been doing more stuff lately. The Hitman's Bodyguard and the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. She's in both of those. Like she does shit. She's still working.
I'm saying that they've done a lot of stuff together. Like she was even in Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Spy Kids 3D.
Yeah, dude. Dude, yeah. You go, Selma Hayek. She's in the Eternals, man. Like, no, but I didn't really like that movie that much, but like, I recognized that it looked like a movie that a lot of people put a lot of hard work in, and so when I saw it, I was like, I didn't really like that, but wow, that looked like it was really hard to make, and like it took a
Right.
lot of really talented people. So fucking respect, you know,
Right. Yeah,
dude. Yeah,
man.
Wild
Dude.
Wild West.
Yeah. Wild Wild
When I
West.
roll
Jim
into
West.
the
Desperado.
yeah, dude,
Let's talk about that song though.
straight to the Wild Wild West, dude.
Cisco.
Yeah, dude. Featuring
Uh
Drew Hill.
yeah, Drew Hill and Kool Mo D. And yeah, that song was this is Will Smith has one other movie tie-in song after this, and that's Nod Your Head from Men in Black 2.
Yep.
But yeah, it basically he does this. It's Men in Black, it's this, and it's Nod Your Head, and that's it. Like he doesn't really try that again.
That's too bad. I want the Ali theme song. Can we get that?
And I don't know if it was because his movie career started taking a backseat to his film career at that point. I'm sure I'll research that as we get going a little later. But like
His music.
his music career is at full swing at this point.
Yep.
Like he's doing like 97 Big Willie Style comes
It's
out.
a resurgence because like after summertime he had trouble finding a hit with his last two Fresh Prince albums, or I mean his last. Oh, I got quiet. Hold up. There we go. Okay, what I was saying was, hold on, where did I start? Okay. um well, at that time he was really going through a resurgence because he had had trouble finding a hit with Code Red, which
Mhm.
was his final Fresh Prince album, which the single off that was Boom Shake the Room, and it was a modest success. I still sing it at karaoke and people remember it. So, like, but it wasn't summertime. And so he had been doing more acting. And so when he kind of got back into music, he sort of reinvented his musical personality,
Right.
and he wasn't called the Fresh Prince anymore. He was Will Smith, and he wasn't doing silly stories. Shame. He was just doing like party songs, and they're great. They're fun. It's just like I
I mean, Welcome to Miami. Bienvenido, Ami Ami.
could also get your jiggy on. I heard
Yes. Na 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 na.
people love those fucking songs, dude.
I mean, that one hits the Billboard top 10, goes 9 times platinum in 97. Like that one is a huge hit. And he follows it up this year in 99 with Millennium,
Mhm.
which that one hits number 5 on the Billboard 200. And that one also goes multi-platinum. So he's like, again, we've got that kind of triple threat where he's just finished a successful run on a TV show. He's one of the biggest movie stars on the planet, and he's also one of the biggest recording artists working. Like
Yep.
he's kind of got the entertainment market cornered. Like this is him at the height of his power, the height of his ability. And his run will last a few more years. I think the next movie we talk about is kind of the beginning of the end of that run of success. And we'll talk about the interim between this movie and that one next week. But like, I mean, and then we'll talk about his downward trajectory in the couple weeks after that, which I find equally fascinating. Like that's why I think his career is an interesting one to talk about, is
Agreed.
because it's got like these hills and valleys in it. Like particularly this very huge mountaintop and then that very steep drop off that it hits, which I'm excited to talk about all of that.
Nice. Me too. I
Yeah.
also am. excited. And I enjoyed talking about this movie too, because you know, like your opinion on this film is pretty much is kind of the standard opinion on it.
I think
Where
so.
like it's not terrible, but it's not really good. Like it's all right, whatever.
I mean, I will call this a bad movie.
Sure.
That is what I will call it.
Yes, but like, do you really mind watching it that much though?
There are worse things I have put on, and worse.
There you go.
There are movie. I will. There are other movies of his I will not return to before I will return to this one.
Yeah.
Like I'll return to
I
this one before I'll return to some of his other stuff.
yeah.
Um, because there is an element of fun to it. It's not good, but you know what? Roger Ebert had a rule, and he said this was the first movie to ever break that rule. He said any movie with either Harry Dean Stanton or M. Emmett Walsh can't be all bad. And he said this is the movie that finally breaks the
No.
Walsh Stanton rule or the
No,
Stanton
Walsh.
Walsh rule.
No. I think he was great as the train conductor guy. He was fantastic. It turns out he was a marshal too.
Right. Like again, I want more of that. Like I want more M. Emmett Walsh. He's not given enough to do.
I just want a sequel to this because I really feel like the chemistry. Well, first of all, the relationship between Will Smith and Kevin Kline in this movie is very antagonistic. Another kind of call back to 48 Hours in that way.
And Men in
It's
Black.
very, yes, very antagonistic. And I like where they left it at the end. It made me want to see where their relationship was going to go after they started really respecting each other. Like they're
Right.
still like gonna fuss and fight because they're two very different fucking people. And
Right.
that's why I always wanted a sequel to this movie because this movie's great, but the next one, that man, if it went the way that I want it to go in my head, fantastic. Fantastic.
There's one other thing we really need to talk about.
Well, let's hurry up with it, man. I gotta go to bed. It's late as hell.
That's the John Peters giant spider of it all.
Everybody knows that story, Steven. And I think the giant
Well,
spider is fantastic. And not only is the giant spider fantastic in this movie, but the writers of this movie got that note where the guy was like, there's got to be a giant spider. And they're like, great, okay. We'll make that a major plot point. Fantastic. That sounds awesome. And it's so silly because it's the silliest thing in a movie whose script that does not work, but it works. It works in this script. It's one of the only things that really works is that throwaway fucking giant spider that Homeboy wanted in like just a movie, any movie. He didn't care. What movie we making? Can we put a giant spider in it? No. Okay, well, I'll see if there's another one I can put a giant spider in. The writers took that assignment, and it's really the only thing worth a damn in this script is how well that spider fits in there, dude. It's kind of the whole crux of the plot, pretty much.
I was gonna
They're
say
talking about it the whole time.
there's not much fucking plot, but point taken, I guess.
I'm just saying, whereas like Tim Burton, which I get his perspective too, or Kevin Smith, sorry,
Yeah.
I get his perspective too, where it's just like, why? There's no reason for a giant spider to be in this. But the
Right.
writers of Wild Wild West were like, okay, fucking great, let's do it. Challenge accepted.
They make that iconography like a central part of Lovelace's look too. Like it's on all of his flags, his insignias, everything, just so that when the giant spider comes in at the end, we've seeded that. Like we've made that like he's got the little spider web brooch and the little spider brooch on his lapel. Like he's got the fucking spider so that when that shows up, it's not out of left field. Like they do a good job of integrating it, I think. But it's still fucking ridiculous as hell.
Yeah, I think it looks great. The sound design on it is fantastic. I love the way it sounds. Damn, that's a good sounding spider. Let me tell you what.
Wild Wild West opens. It's a Wednesday opener. It opens Wednesday, June 30th, which means it opens, Tucker, today. The day we are recording this is the anniversary of the release date of this film.
Not anymore for me, dude. It's been Monday for about an hour here, dude. So
well, from
about
when
5
we started,
minutes, it'll catch up with you.
I was gonna say I still got 5 minutes, but like, This is the 25th anniversary of the day that we're recording this. The
Yeah,
day, so
it's an
fucking A,
honor.
man.
It's an
It
honor.
is. It's an honor just to be nominated. Um, but yes. So let me get to the proper weekend here, and we'll do the July 2nd weekend, which is the weekend it would have opened wide. It opens at number one, Tucker. It opens number one
Damn right.
the weekend that it comes out. It opens to $27.7 million. Part of the reason everyone said it opened so big is because of the number 4 movie opening this weekend. The number 4 movie that is also opening this weekend. Everyone said that kids and people too young to get into the number 4 movie would buy tickets for this movie so they could then sneak in to the number 4 film. Any guess as to what that one might be?
1999.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Blair Witch or some shit.
Mm-mm. So number 2, we've got Adam Sandler's Big Daddy.
You're gonna give all that build up and then not go right to 4.
Correct.
You want to talk about 4 on 1? Okay, all right. Big Daddy, cool. Everybody loves that one. What's 3?
In its second weekend. 3 is Disney's Tarzan, the movie that kind of kills the Renaissance.
Nobody gives a shit. What's 4?
In theaters for 3 weekends. And in fourth place, based
I'm
I look, if anything I can do to get you through this as quickly as possible, you like belay this for like hours at a time. Anything I can do to help you like just bust through this.
It should be its own sub episode. Like we don't even do this in the main feed episode. We just do like a 30-minute thing, like an addendum to the episode.
That's what
it comes out like on
every
Friday.
fucking time. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The box office on Friday.
Yeah. Do its own separate feed, have its own separate fucking feed for it.
Yes. What's 4, Steven?
Based on the adult animated cartoon show, very popular in the 90s. It is South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. The movie whose title is a penis joke.
I think it was a success anyway. It still made money for sure.
It did, just not as much, for sure. Like it did not make nearly as much as this movie did. But yeah, it made a goodly amount of South Park made about 50 million, whereas Wild Wild West made
on
about
like a
twice
nothing budget. Yeah, you
Right.
don't need a big budget to make a South Park movie for sure.
No.
I'm surprised that they've only made one, honestly.
Well, they've made a lot for Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I feel like those are more like TV specials. I feel like
They
like
kind
TV
of are.
movies. Yeah,
You're right, but I mean, they're feature length each one of them is,
Yeah.
and very wildly in quality. If I'm being real honest. In fifth place, a movie called The General's Daughter with John Travolta. What if the general had a daughter?
That's kind of a fucked up movie. It's kind of a good movie too.
I've never seen it.
It's all right. It's the kind of movie that was going out of style very quickly. It was kind of a mid 90s, early 90s thriller sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Shot kind of like The Game. It looks like The Game, and like in 99,
So
that was in the past.
Yeah.
Yes, very, very sharp and very blue and very like directly but limitedly lit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Oh, I
they're
know
trying
exactly what you mean.
to light a black and white movie, but they shot it in color on accident.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I know exactly what
dude.
you're talking about. Rounding out the top 10, you've got Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace in 6th place. Okay. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me in 7th. In 8th place, opening this week, Spike Lee's Walt Disney film, The Summer of Sam.
Yeah, that movie's all right. Except then Zodiac exists, so it's not good anymore. I liked it until that movie came out, and I was like, it's too similar for me to not like this less now, even though I loved it before.
Zodiac is doing what Son of Sam is doing way better, but I still like Son of Sam. Zodiac is like perfect. Like Zodiac is the gold standard, and Summer of Sam is like the also ran. Still really good, but in comparison, just not as yeah. If only Zodiac didn't exist.
Yeah, I'd still get to enjoy Summer of Sam.
Zodiac is my favorite Fincher film with a bullet. I fucking love Zodiac. It's amazing. God, that movie is amazing.
It's really good.
And in 9th place, you have Notting Hill. In 10th place, An Ideal Husband. And in 11th place, not that I usually include it, but I am this time because I think it's fun, The Mummy.
Which one? The Brendan Fraser?
Brendan Fraser. Yeah. 99. Brendan Fraser.
It'd probably been on the charts for about 2 or 3 months at that point, though.
Every millennial bisexual's bisexual awakening. It's been in theaters for 9 weeks, and it's grossed almost 150 millions in 9 weeks. Like, it's
Yeah, dude.
done very well.
It's a big deal. Everybody loved that movie.
Big ass deal, son. Wild Wild West, on a $175 million production budget, earns only 113 domestic, another 107 international, for a total worldwide of 221 million. So not the multiplier they need to justify any sequel.
What'd you say that budget was?
It was 175.
Oof, big oof.
The most expensive movie of 1999, and that includes Phantom Menace and The Matrix.
Well, that sucks.
Yep.
Look, I get that a lot of people don't like this movie, but it didn't deserve to fail that hard, I don't believe.
The tomatometer score on this one is a 16%. The critics' consensus: bombastic, manic, and largely laugh-free.
What? I agree with the first two.
Wild Wild West is a bizarre misfire in which greater care was lavished upon the special effects than on the script. Nothing in there I disagree with, I'm going to say.
I agree with the point that they were making, but I don't agree with everything that they said to support it. So
sure, understood. Yeah. The Metascore is a 40 based on 25 critics' reviews, mixed or average reviews. And Tucker, care to guess the Letterboxd score on this one?
It's going to be in between 2.3 and 2.7.
Missed it by that much. It's a 2.2.
Damn. Okay. All right, Letterboxd. Okay. Whatever. You suck anyway, Letterboxd, so who cares?
And I do want to point out I want to call him friend of the podcast, but I don't know this guy actually, but we follow each other on Letterboxd. Daniel Ehrenberg from the Franchise Podcast, his review of this movie is Kenneth Branagh's best beard since Emma Thompson. Boom, roasted.
Yeah, it is a good beard, though.
It is a good beard.
It's a good beard.
All right. And so, Tucker, the time has come for us to rate this movie for ourselves. How do you, out of 5 possible stars, rate 1999's Wild Wild West?
Steven, I love this movie. I love it so much. I am enthusiastic about this film. And like I said, like with a film like this, you would expect me to like it. Like Hook, you would expect me to like it less the more I watched it. Though, no, the Dustin Hoffman performance in Hook, it will always be like the GOAT performance. Him and Bob Hoskins, for sure.
I was going to say, don't sleep on Bob Hoskins in that movie, please.
I'm just saying, the rest of that movie, every time I see it, I'm like, this is not as good as the last time I saw it.
That's one that does not hold up. I mean, Spielberg apologized for that one for a reason.
I don't think it's bad. I think that the two really good performances in that movie elevate it so much, and it's just decent enough that it takes you a few watches to kind of see under the surface of it and be like, oh, this isn't really that good. But anyway, I don't remember why I brought that up, but the point is, I am giving this a 3.5 out of 5 stars because I love this movie enough, honestly, to give it 5 stars. But even while I'm enjoying every second of this movie, I'm not blind and I'm not stupid, and I can see the problems with this movie. So I think I'm going to land right on a 3.5, a very enthusiastic 3.5, I will say. Okay. Steven?
It's a 2. It's a 2 for me.
That's well done.
Because here's the thing. It's still a Barry Sonnenfeld film, so it still looks good.
Oh, it looks fantastic.
And it's not late stage Sonnenfeld, although it is him cresting into that mode, to where like it's so bad I can't watch it. It's him at least trying to take a swing, and I think he will not recover from how badly this does fully, which I've mentioned already. But by the same token, like Will Smith is still charming as hell. the actors that are doing what they're doing in this movie are doing fine. Yes, a lot of them are underutilized. Yes, a lot of them are not used to their full potential. But there's still some fun moments. Is it incomprehensible? Yes.
Pretty much.
I mean, is it bad? Yes. It's not a good movie. It's not. Like objectively, it's not.
I would say it's not a good script. Like I said, I think for me everything I forgive the script. The reason I like it so much is because everything else is so well done in this movie. The costume design looks great. The art direction, the production design is fucking fantastic. Cinematography is great. It just it looks and the sound design is phenomenal. It looks and it sounds and it feels great. It's just outside of the very simple through line plot of this movie, the rest of it is just it's a big fucking mess, man. It's a big
Just
mess.
it's a big wet
Such a
fart,
mess.
man.
Yeah, and if didn't have so much fun with that mess, I would probably fucking hate this movie. But
Right. But
it
again, this
was
is
so
kind of
much fun.
a movie custom made for Tuckers.
It's
So
true. Tucker movie.
just like a little movie called Hundreds of Beavers. But yeah.
If you self-identify as Tucker, you'll probably like this movie. I'm just saying.
And if you like this movie, you might consider self-identifying as Tucker.
You may be a Tucker. You don't
You
know.
may be entitled to compensation.
Yeah.
Um,
You might be able to sue me. I don't know what for, but give it a shot. Who
I
knows?
don't know. We'll figure
Anything
something
could
out.
happen. Yeah.
But yeah, that's Wild Wild West. We did it,
Yeah.
Tucker. We did it.
Yeah.
We talked about Wild Wild West.
It was great.
Will Smith's first great misstep.
The only thing that I like more than talking about this movie is watching this movie. So I will look, you give me a platform and unlimited time, I will talk to you about this movie all day. All day. I wish, honestly, Steven, I wish it weren't 1 a.m. where I am, because I would love for this to be the first 12-hour episode of the Disenfranchised podcast. Because I could go on every scene. I'm gonna tell you what is just really rad about everything that happens in every scene, in every shot, and I don't know, man. I love it when something comes together in such a unique and personal way, to where it's like all the things I really dig just kind of thrown together in one thing, and when it works for me, ooh, it's the best feeling.
And see, I don't know if it ever hits that spot for me. I don't know if it ever hits the spot where it's just working for me.
That's because you haven't seen it on VHS, Steven.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I rented this movie after it first came out.
I
Like,
just wanted to put this up to the camera because it's a
right.
thing of beauty.
You said
Look at
this was
that.
the first time you saw this movie in the original aspect ratio, though, right?
This
Is
is
that
the first time. Yes, and that's why I am gushing even more about how good it looks. So I've tried to keep saying that over and over, that is a fantastic looking movie, because this looks good. For 4:3 pan and scan, looks good. Fantastic, great. But in that original aspect ratio, holy fuck, Steven. This movie is epic. The scale of this movie looks big. This movie is a huge movie size. So many big shots of big things.
Should have seen it on the
And
big screen, man.
oh man, I wish I had. I hope maybe one day it'll get reassessed and people will start liking it and we'll get like a re-release. I would love to. Or maybe, that sounds like something the New Beverly would do just for
Mm-hmm.
LOLs. I'd go see it there on 35mm. Yes, please. You know what? New Beverly, this is a promise. If you play Wild Wild West, I will buy a plane ticket to LA.
You will fly
And
across the motherfucking
I
country.
will, just to watch the Wild Wild West on straight up 35mm. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Gimme, gimme. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been the disenfranchised episode of Wild Wild West.
We did
And
it.
you know what? If you are looking for some people to follow on social media, hey, follow us. We're on Blue Sky, Instagram, Letterboxd, and YouTube at disenfranchpod. If you want to give us some support but don't want to spend much money, you can head to wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. We do try to read those 5-star reviews on the podcast. So if you leave us a 5-star review, we will read it out here on the podcast. We also have an email address. You can send us your thoughts, disenfranchpod@gmail.com. Go ahead and head over there. Send us your thoughts, failed franchise starters you would love to see us cover, and we will read those thoughts on the podcast as well. Additionally, if you want to support us and spend a little money, boy howdy, have we got a platform for you. Patreon.com/disenfranchpod. You can find hours of bonus content, our occasionally updated sister show, What Are We Watching, where we talk about stuff that we've been watching. Tucker's been sitting on an episode for about a month.
Look, there's going to be a Patreon announcement soon because I need to sit down and just kind of just go through it with the patrons and let them know, that I appreciate them and I straight up love them and I love engaging with them, especially. But your boy has just been busy as hell, dude. And like, to be honest, like as far as Patreons go, we have a lot of content and we're usually pretty steady with it.
Usually.
But, usually. Yeah, there was a time. Look, up until a couple months ago, we were putting out 4 episodes of What Are We Watching a month.
Correct.
And about every 3 or 4 months, you'd get something else too, like an unenfranchised or Oops All Christianity Corner, which I still really want to do one on Book of Clarence. Can we do that soon?
I do too. I'm game, man. We got to find time to get the band together because as the guy who schedules this thing, it's like herding cats the last few weeks.
Yeah, I know it. And I apologize for that. And
I can't get anyone to sit down and record a damn episode.
And I'm sure that all of our patrons, I mean, they'll probably listen to this episode, but I still do want to kind of write up a little something and post it on the Patreon. And I'm really, really, really going to try to get that month-old episode of What Are We Watching edited and distributed sometime this week. I'm going to try so hard. I'm going to, like, the hardest I could possibly try. I'm going to try.
I'm sure they would appreciate that.
Not only am I working like every damn night at the campground, doing nanny shit during the day most days. On the days I'm not doing nanny shit, when I'm not doing mandatory podcast shit, I may have, kind of started planting the little tiniest of seeds of a new musical project I'm working on with someone else. So that's been taking up some of my time as well. Maybe doing some music stuff, maybe. I don't know. I might have, dedicated an entire unused room in my house to it. I don't know. Oh, who knows? Wow. Guess we'll find out. Who fucking knows?
You have unused rooms. That's amazing.
Dude, my house is huge. For better
Must be nice.
And for worse. For better and for worse, I say. Yeah. So, yeah. Patrons, I'm sorry.
But yeah, I'm doing $5 a month, patreon.com/disenfranchpod. And you too can have access to all of that. In fact, while we've been talking, the early access to this month's theme has dropped on Patreon, and we've already gotten a response. So, yeah.
Nice. What does it read it? Oh no, you can't because it's spoilers for the. Oh no, you could read it.
No,
right?
Well, I can read the first sentence. Basically, we announced on social media today that we were doing an actor study, and our good buddy Norvin Kline says, "How do I know?" And then reckons that he's the only person who liked the last movie we're covering this month, to which I responded, I'll take that bet. So, yeah, I think he might be the only person who liked that movie.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I kind of heard that it's something that most people don't like that I might like, though. That's the impression I get.
You know what? That sounds right.
I can't wait to find out either way, honestly.
Yeah, for me, I think the movie that we're covering next week is kind of where I fell off with Will Smith, but we'll talk about that next week, I'm sure.
Yeah, can't wait. Straight up can't wait.
But yeah, I am your host, Stephen Foxworthy. You can find me on Instagram, Letterboxd, and Blue Sky at Chewy Walrus. Brett Wright, I think, is only available on Letterboxd these days at sus_warlock. Tucker, where all can we find you on the socials these days?
I'm on YouTube and Instagram at Ice909, ICENINE, the number 0, and the number 9. I finally got my PA back from the campground here because we just bought one for the campground. And so I listened to some more records up on my Instagram. But then I made the fantastic decision to take the PA to the room that I have dedicated to musical instrumentation
Mm-hmm.
and creation and recording in my house. So now I'm right there in that same place. So I might have to might have to cruise the Goodwill, see if I can find an old receiver or something that maybe has a tape deck on it and a pair of really good speakers, and do some analog in a very analog way. So that's exciting. But until then, I'll probably just listen to records on. I got a new Bluetooth speaker a couple months ago because mine shit the bed. And I kind of went all out on a very portable. It's about this big, but it's a sound design. I spent about $200 on it, and this thing sounds phenomenal. And it's
Nice.
so loud, and there's never any distortion. And like, I'm not kidding. It's like this big. It's the size of like a Subway sandwich,
Mm-hmm.
but like on top of my fridge in the kitchen. If I have it up really loud, I can still like feel the bass in the floor and everything.
You can feel the good vibrations.
Yes, and there's an app on my phone that connects to it, and I can do presets, EQ presets, or I can mess with the EQ myself. It's fantastic. But why
Nice.
did I mention that? Oh yeah, I'm probably going to use that to listen to records in the interim because I just got a new Vines record. Plus, I really want to get through the alphabetical thing, and that speaker sounds fantastic, and I can just take it around with me all around the house.
Nice.
So get ready for more records, hopefully on Instagram. We're heading into the Billy Joels. That's a big chunk. It's a big fucking chunk. Because like the only thing I don't have on vinyl by Billy Joel is River of Dreams.
Is there a specific reason for that, or you just hate that album, or?
I never bought it on vinyl, and it's really expensive because it wasn't even released in the United States on vinyl.
Oh, there you go.
So it's really expensive, and like I really like that record, but it's not that important to me to have a complete Billy Joel collection because I don't have a complete Billy Joel collection because I'm a completist. I have a almost complete Billy Joel collection because all those albums fucking slap.
Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, we are all carried along by the River of Dreams, though. So.
This is true. I go, you know what? Even in the middle of the night, sometimes I go walk into my sleep.
Yeah, where
Through the
to?
Valley of Truth, even.
Oh, wow.
To a river so deep. Yeah, man. You know,
River so deep?
I think I'm looking for something.
Looking for something?
Yeah. Maybe.
Something
Something
sacred you
sacred I
lost?
lost. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Dude,
Yeah,
yeah.
I bet the river's pretty wide though, and it's too hard to cross.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely.
I'm helping, man. I'm helping. I'm here to help.
It's such a good song. And that's a good record too. I
I've never listened to the record, but I do love that track. That's a really good track.
The whole album is really good, and then after that he did kind of a piano concerto classical album that's also really fucking good.
Here's the thing. He's very good at playing the piano.
He is very good at keyed instruments, that is for sure. I don't know if you're aware of his first band that put out a record called Attila.
Nope.
It is a 60s psychedelic doom metal duo. And it's Billy Joel playing his organ, like electric organ,
Mm-hmm.
through a fuzz pedal, and another dude playing drums and drumming. And it's heavy metal.
Okay.
And it's fantastic. For about half of the record, then you get kind of sick of it. But it's really good. Like if you listen to side A one day and then like maybe 2 days later listen to side B, you're gonna have a real good time. Real good time. That's a really
Right
good
on.
record, actually. So I can honestly say there's not a Billy Joel record that I've heard that doesn't 100% slap.
Good to know.
Yeah, yeah. Billy Joel, he's an
Captain
icon
Jack will
for a
get you
reason.
by tonight. Take
For
you
a
to that
fucking
special
reason.
island.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. What's the lyric in that where he's talking about like your sister's out like on a date while you sit at home and straight up masturbate?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that how that
that's
lyric goes?
basically it. Your sister's out, she's on a date, so you sit at home and masturbate. Yeah, that's the line.
Yeah, there it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like that song a lot. It's really long. It's like an 8-minute song, 7 minutes.
It's insanely long.
Yeah.
Yeah, my buddy Dan, future guest of the podcast, Dan Allmiller, had the Billy Joel Greatest Hits album, and that song was on there, and that was the first time I think either of us had ever heard it before, and we loved that entire album. That album's wall to wall bangers. So
It
yeah,
is really good. And
we had a good time with it.
look, Billy Joel's a phenomenal artist, but his band is fantastic too. Everybody in that band, it's kind of like the Blues Brothers band, where everybody in that band is just top of their fucking
Mm-hmm.
game. Like
Right.
Wrecking Crew quality musicians. And they actually were the backing band on Karen Carpenter's solo record.
I do fucking love the Carpenters. You better believe I fucking love the
Look,
Carpenters.
if you love the Carpenters, specifically Karen Carpenter, you should check out her solo record because it's like, what if Karen Carpenter made a record, but she didn't have Richard Carpenter being just like meticulous about, which is great. I love his production. I love everything that he does with production. The Cardigans. It's just a different kind of thing. It's not a better thing or a worse
Yes.
thing. It's just a different kind of thing. It's a very loosey goosey record, which is why it never got released because she played it for Richard Carpenter and he was like, I fucking hate this. You shouldn't release it. Because him and his family were dicks to her. You should read this book called Little Girl Blue. It's really interesting. It's about Karen Carpenter and all that. It's really fascinating. But yeah, so check out Karen Carpenter's solo record. It's really good. It's available on streaming. Specifically the song If I Had You. Yeah.
Okay.
Really good song. So my Instagram, Tuck Mugs is also a thing I do. It is officially called Tuck Mugs now, not
Good
Tux
Lord,
Mugs.
we haven't even gotten to Tuck Mugs yet.
I know it's Tuck Mugs and it's fantastic. And Ari sent us a mug a couple weeks
She
ago.
did, yeah.
That was
It's up
really
there.
really great. Yeah, it was a good post. It was a very short post but effective.
Great mug too. That's a fucking good looking mug.
Sometimes you don't have to say more than what you really need to say, and it checked off all the boxes of the format. Then the post doesn't have to be long, you guys, as long as checking off all those boxes, and that's a perfect example of it. Really enjoyed the mug, enjoyed the post. We're working on more stuff, getting some mug related activities put together, and it's a fantastic time at Tuck Mugs. But that's really all I got about Tuck Mugs this week because there's not really anything. We got some stuff percolating, but nothing that's like rolling out. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. It's really hot.
Depends on whether or not anyone gets some guest mugs in there.
Look, I'd really love some guest mugs because it's summertime, and despite the fact that I'm in New England, it do be getting hot sometimes. And I don't want to drink coffee. I don't want to eat soup. All the things I normally do out of a mug, not into it. So if you're going to get anything from me until like maybe September, it's going to be like pint glasses, shot glasses, stuff like that. Your boy is not using mugs at all. I ate vegetable soup the other day and then went to work and it was like 100 degrees outside and I thought I was going to fucking die.
Yeah.
So no, not doing hot stuff in mugs. Sorry. Send guest mugs, please.
I still drink my coffee every morning out of a mug, but
Steven,
I feel like I've offered a couple of guest mugs at this point, so I
it's
feel
been
like I
so
want to spread the
long.
love.
It's been so long. It's been a long time since your last mug.
Has it now?
A long time, Steven.
Long time.
Nah, dude. But Tuck Mugs, send me some mugs. Check out my mugs. Let's all have a good mugtastic time. And that's Tuck_mugs on Instagram.
All right. And now that it's almost 1:30 a.m. where Tucker is,
Hell yeah.
let's bring this in for a landing. So
Because,
this,
I've totally been getting enough sleep lately, Steven. Totally.
I didn't tell you
Absolutely
to do 20 minutes
100%.
on your record collect on Billy Joel. Okay.
Look, that's why this is the reason why, like, if I'm dreading a recording, it's not because I'm dreading talking to you or talking about the movie. It's usually because I know that I want to say so much about the thing we're talking about that I'm going to keep us here until 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm only going to have myself to blame. So, like, when I get all snarky about, like, come on, let's fucking go, it's my fault. I'm doing it.
I was going to say, you're doing it
So
right now,
I'm
dude.
doing it
I'm trying to
right
end this motherfucker.
now. You're trying, but I won't let you because I have so much to say.
Apparently. About
Okay,
nothing.
take us out, Steven.
All right. This has been our episode on Wild Wild West. Getting Jiggy in July continues next week. Be sure to join us. We've got another great episode planned for you. And who knows? Maybe Brett will be here. I don't
Gosh, I
know.
hope so.
Gosh, I hope so too. Anyway, until next time, I'm your host, Stephen Foxworthy, from my co host Tucker and the absent Brett Wright. Until next time, look, let's just all go get some shut ass. Just take a breath of fresh air.